Today, quarterback Bill Kenny leads a Kansas City offense that throws the ball more than any team in the National Football League. New coach John Mackovic of the Chiefs believes in the passing game, and Kenny is the man who pulls the trigger. Quarterback David Whitley of Miami's had his problems so far this season. There's a lot of speculation here in South Florida that the outstanding rookie from Pittsburgh, Dan Marino, could take over if Whitley can't move the Dolphins. Today from the Orange Bowl in Miami, it's the Chiefs against the defending American Conference champions, the Miami Dolphins. Today's game is brought to you by Chevrolet, official U.S. cars and trucks of the 14th Olympic Winter Games. Chevrolet and you taking charge. By Kmart, we've got the brand names, we've got the selection, and we've got the price. And by Canon, manufacturer of advanced plain paper copiers. Good afternoon, everyone. Don Criqui with Jim Turner at the Orange Bowl in Miami on a warm and windy and sunny day. It's going to be a difficult day for the passing game and for the kicking game, Jim. It's always tough to kick against the Dolphins down here with these swirling winds. Nick Lowry's one of the best, though, for KC.
Well, I think Kansas City's very lucky, as we watch Nick hit a 58-yarder, that they have Nick Lowry. They're stressing the passing game, a new coach, and Nick is the solid force on offense right now.
The Dolphins, though, almost unbeatable here at the Orange Bowl under Don Shula. The Chiefs and the Dolphins just about set to go in Miami. Kansas City has won the toss, and the Chiefs will be receiving to start the game. Miami in their home white uniforms ready to kick it off. Von Schaumann kicking off with about a 25-mile-an-hour wind at his back. And Anthony Hancock, a world-class sprinter from Tennessee, is back at the goal line for the Chiefs, ready to run it back. Miami's coach Don Shula really cracked the whip this week in practice. Not at all happy with his team showing Monday night against the LA Raiders. You see the ball blow off the kicking tee. You've experienced that in your years with the Jets down here,
A lot of times, Shea, they'll bring a man in to hold the ball. He's the safety. The kicker and the gentleman that's going to hold the ball right now, he's there. The two of them are the safety. Uva will kick this one out of the end zone. Both goalposts look like hurricane force now. They may snap. Over 50% of Uva's kickoffs are not returned anyhow. So with this one, you'd imagine he put it up in the stands.
He might put it right over the net because the wind has really picked up. They said 25 miles an hour. I think it's a lot stronger than that right now. Von Schaumann into the ball, rockets it into and out of the end zone. And so, on the touchback, Kansas City will come out on offense first and 10 at their 20-yard line. The Chiefs, under first-year coach John Mackovic, come in with a record of 1-2. They open with an impressive win over Seattle. Lost their last two. Bill Kenny's at quarterback. Jarrell Thomas and Billy Jackson are his runners. That's been a big problem. The running game has not been good. Carlos Carson leads the NFL with 17 receptions. Hancock, the ever wideout, is extremely fast and elusive. The tight end, Willie Scott, although they go with two tight ends a great deal of the time, Ed Beckman will be in also. One setback now. They do have the two tight ends in right now. Swing pass out to Billy Jackson, a blocker in front of him, and Jackson turns upfield and gets ahead for a 5-yard gain. He is out to the 25-yard line. William Judson, the left cornerback, made the stop for the Dolphins. Last week, Jimmy, against the Washington Redskins, the numbers were unbelievable, with Kansas City throwing the ball 47 times and running just 16 times.
Coach Mackovic said he's going to be aggressive with the passing game, and they're going to open right up. He has no running game at the point, Don.
You see that Miami defense, a very good one. Betters, Baumhauer, and Bocap are across the front. On second down and 5, the handoff is to Jackson. This time the Chiefs running very well. Billy Jackson, a third-year back from Alabama. Big back, 220 pounds, is knocked down by Ernest Roan, but the Chiefs, with their first run of the day, get 6 yards, and they get a first down. Doug Betters made the tackle.
If you don't have a balance between the run and the pass, Miami has that. You're going to allow the great killer bees of the Dolphins just to flip their ears back and come right in on Kenny. Kenny, in his past history, will throw the ball into coverage, so he's got to help himself by getting somewhat of a running game going early in the game.
Bill Kenny'd love to win here in Miami. He was a draft choice of the Dolphins in 1978. They cut him. So did Washington, where he went later, and finally came to KC in 79. Big play by Doug Betters. Billy Jackson got the call, and Doug Betters, who's the leading sacker in the NFL with 7, comes in to make the hit on the runner behind the line of scrimmage. So it's going to bring up second down and 11. Underrated player. This is a good ball player.
Very underrated football player. Now they're really up against it. 2nd and 11. He's got to throw the ball. What do you do with the young wide receivers who are extremely happy that Makovic's there? All receivers want to catch the ball. Kinney throwing into a 23-mile-an-hour wind.
The Chiefs into the face of the wind, so they run the ball. They go to the draw play, and Jackson gets ahead for perhaps 4 yards. Middle guard Bob Baumhauer knocked him down for Miami, but it brings up 3rd and long yardage, and the Dolphins with that chess game, and they're as good as anyone at it. Send in new people. They probably have more defensive alignments under Arnsparger than anybody around.
I think he's probably, along with Joe Collier, one of the greatest coaches in football. Neither one of the gentlemen suited to be a head coach, but they're right at home as defensive coordinators.
Chiefs are one of the few teams that over the years has a winning advantage over the Miami Dolphins. They're 7-4 against Miami over the years. Kenny on 3rd and 8 takes a look. Good catch by Willie Scott. Did he get to the 41-yard line? He did not. A gain of about 8.5 yards, and he needed 9.
Perfectly thrown ball, Don. I think he had it. Referee didn't give it to him. He was knocked back. The wind's blowing in his face. They do not have a long ball punter right now, and I tell you what, it's going to be tough on a kick return. Watch the ball perfectly thrown. No shown confidence by the quarterback, Kinney, under Coach Makovic. He was across the line. They took it away from him. He was knocked back.
So rookie punter Jim Arnold is now in the game. Mark Clayton is back deep for Miami. Not a good kick, but it's into the wind. Here's Clayton fielding it on the run, and he is down to the 33-yard line. So the Dolphins get their first possession in relatively good field position as Jim Arnold punts it downfield. Trent Jackson down to cover, and the yardage was only 30. We'll be back right after this.
Chevy Tough is taking charge with a big USA 1 truck sell-a-thon. We're out to sell 75,000 trucks by October 1st with 200,000 trucks from coast to coast. This is dealing time. And year-end allowances on 83s can mean great clearance prices. Get specially equipped Chevy S10 pickups and maxi cabs with V6 engine at no extra cost. Or buy specially equipped full-size pickups with automatic transmission or air conditioning at no extra cost. USA 1 sell-a-thon at your Chevy dealers now.
Someday soon, you could very well have the best of everything. But you will have to begin somewhere. And the best place to begin is with the very best beer in the world. The best tasting beer wherever you go. When you think about it, why would you ever have anything else?
Come to think of it, I'll have a Heineken.
David Woodley now in his 4th year from LSU quarterbacks the Dolphins with Tony Nathan and Andra Franklin his starting runners. 2 tight ends on the field for the Dolphins, Dan Johnson and Bruce Hardy to start the game. Miami's game plan I don't think is very complicated, Jim. They're going to pound the ball right at Kansas City.
I think they'll pound it, take advantage of wide rushing defensive ends, try to work on the nose tackle Kramer, just establish control of the game early.
Hardy comes in motion. Andra Franklin runs on 1st down, and the Chiefs do a good job defensing it. Ken Kramer, the middle guard, makes the stop, number 91. The defensive ends, Art Still and Mike Bell, 2 very good ones. And as you pointed out, Jim, 2 players, though, that like to come with a wide rush, which often leaves Kramer all alone in the middle to stop the run.
The point I'd like to make, Don, is even with the strong wind at your back as a quarterback, that doesn't necessarily help your passing game because it can take the ball any way it wants.
Gary Green, an excellent corner. New person at free safety in Duran Cherry with Barbaro still holding out. 2 top defenders not in the Kansas City lineup. Spaney out with an injury and Barbaro holding out. 2nd down and 9. Andra Franklin takes about 4 teams with him across the 40-yard line and out to the 43 for a 1st down. We'll watch that again.
Oh, and Don, just a tremendous trap block by number 64. I think one of the underrated football players in the NFL. Their guard, Ed Newman, comes out and sets the trap. Franklin, who runs low to the ground, stays with his blockers, cuts back underneath the trap block and takes up for a nice gain. See, was able to see it. Newman pulls out with a tremendous block there, and then he cuts back underneath it. Look at the leg drive. Low to the ground already. Very good football play.
A very nice second look from the end zone as the Dolphins get a 1st down out to their 44-yard line. Right back to the big back. Andra Franklin from Nebraska Pounds it across the 45-yard line. First quarter score in from across the state in Tampa. The Cincinnati Bengals and the Buccaneers, both winless after 3 weeks of play. Cincinnati's taken a 7-0 lead. Ken Riley just returned an interception, 34 yards for a Bengal touchdown.
Both lines of the Miami Dolphins last week sorely tested by the Raiders. They want to reestablish themselves. And in running consecutive times like this, you watch the Kansas City Chiefs. They may get caught up, and Woodley will lay one downfield.
Well, those linebackers have been sneaking up more and more as the Chiefs trying to defense the Miami run. Handoff goes to Andrew Franklin. Free ball. Kansas City has it. Here goes Lloyd Burris. A foot race. Burris is across the 30 and finally pulled down. So the Chiefs come up with a big defensive play. The free football, and Lloyd Burris, as good a strong safety as there is around. A hard hitter from Maryland scoops up the ball, and the Chiefs have it inside the Miami 30-yard line.
Big play for the Chiefs early in the game. You'd hope it would turn it around. Maybe the Chiefs will get something going on the board. But I tell you what, Coach, their new defensive coordinator, Bud Carson, who was with the Colts last year, calls Lloyd Burris the unknown factor, the best-kept secret in the NFL at the moment.
Well, he was no secret to Miami there, to the fans here at the Orange Bowl, as Burris scooped it up. And the first turnover of the game is a very big one, as the Chiefs are already in Lowry field goal range. No score first quarter. Running with the ball is Jarrell Thomas. And he is thrown back after a gain of maybe a yard. Doug Betters, the left end, again made the stop for Miami. Awful tough to run into the left side of the Miami defense with Betters at left end and two tremendous linebackers in Brzezinski and Dewey. Although A.J. Dewey, 77, is all over the field.
He's one of the finest the NFL has ever seen. Don, the Chiefs have to get some confidence in their running game, where they're going to go the full 16-game slate in the NFL this year, throwing the ball, and they'll die by that. You can't throw it that much.
Herkenhoff and Lutz are the tackles for KC. Brad Buddy and Condon the guards. Simmons in for Condon. Condon injured, and Bob Rush at center. Kinney takes a drop, throws the ball down, and a good defensive play by Gerald Small as Carlos Carson went up for the ball, and it was a perfectly thrown ball.
That's as good as defensive coverage as you'll ever see. Coming right up, driving on the ball. The ball is well thrown. A good pattern by Carson. He sees it. Look at the drive on the ball coming right in. Perfectly played ball.
I asked Don Shula yesterday, Jim, what stands out about the Kansas City offense. In his opinion, he said those wide receivers. He said they're really good, particularly Carson. Bill Arnsparger in the baseball hat next to Shula. Now from the shotgun on 3rd and 8. No score in the first quarter. And he gets some time. He delivers the ball, and his running back, Billy Jackson, can't hold on. He had a step on the linebacker. Now we have a moment back to NFL 83 in New York.
Well, Don, elsewhere in Florida, in Tampa, Jack Thompson throwing for the Bucs against his former teammates. Ken Riley intercepts for the Bengals all the way. His 59th career interception. 7-0 in the battle of winless teams. Don?
Thank you. And right here in the Orange Bowl, we have Nick Lowry setting up for a field goal attempt.
Don, I think this is one of the finest young kickers to ever come into the game, and he's got a tough assignment. 45 yards against 23, 25-mile-an-hour winds. Anybody can do it. It's the two kickers today, Von Schaman and Lowry.
Lowry hits a spinner up, but the wind catches it, and he drops it through. Nick Lowry, a spectacular kicker. Looked like he was going to hook left when it caught the wind. It dropped down then and right over the crossbar. So the Chiefs capitalize on the Burris fumble recovery and return as Lowry, who might be the best in the game now, hits a long field goal into the wind. And underdog Kansas City takes a 3-0 lead. We'll be back with the Chiefs kickoff after this.
Chevrolet Caprice Classic, the only full-size car picked last year by Car and Driver magazine as one of the 10 best cars you can buy. Chevrolet Caprice. Compare the deep cushion comfort, the luxury, the ride, the full-sized room. It's an exceptional value. You can spend more for a car, but why in the world would you? Chevrolet! And you. Taking charge.
Did you digital readouts, onboard computer diagnostics, advanced electronics developed by General Motors for the 747. Now many of the same engineers are building the same technology into new GM cars and trucks. So you and your car can drive smarter.
In a world premiere movie, she gives her love to any man who has the price. It's tearing her apart. Hill Street's Veronica Hamill in Sessions, Monday.
Nick Lowry, Ivy League educated place kicker from Dartmouth, who tried with 18s before he hooked down with Kansas City, just hit a 45-yard field goal into the rim. Now he kicks off into the rim. Kansas City leading 3-0. Here's Fulton Walker breaking the crust for a moment, getting out to the 30-yard line. And there the Dolphins go back on offense, 1st and 10. Trent Bryant and Ed Beckman down on special teams for Kansas City. You see how the scoring drive went. Chiefs unable to move against the Miami defense, but Burris came up with the football on the fumble recovery, and Lowry, an excellent place kicker.
And that field goal by Lowry really is the measure of a great field goal kicker. He didn't think it was going to blow in. You've got to pipe it. By that I mean you've got to put it right down the middle with all your leg that you can do.
It is now 1st and 10 for the Dolphins, just across their 30-yard line. Mike Bell might have jumped early on the right side. We'll see if he was thrown offside. A long ball. Duriel Harris has the defense. Harris comes down with the ball and loses it. It's an incomplete pass. Had it hit the deck, lost it. It is ruled incomplete. Lucius Smith was covering. They're going to work on Lucius quite a bit today. They want to stay away from Gary Green. The other Kansas City corner is one of the best in the league.
Well, they'll want to work on Lucius. I think they were very lucky. I thought he had control of the football. Just an outstanding pass. We said when they established that run early, linebackers and cornerbacks are coming up very quickly. You see, Don, in wind like this, with weather like this, it's almost like playing in the snow and the rain. Whoever establishes the points first may end up winning the game. We'll see it. Just an excellent play by David Woodley coming back. As I said, it's tough to throw with the wind also. He lays it right up. Perfectly thrown football. I thought he had control of it. He hits the ground in control. Dolphins are lucky to come back with the ball.
Dolphins had the ball, and the penalty marker on the play was offside against Kansas City, so it's 1st and 5. They had a free play there, Miami. This time, Tony Nathan from Alabama takes it on a 1st and 5 play from his 36-yard line and runs all the way across midfield. Knocked down by Lloyd Burris, but the Dolphins rip off the big gainer, and they get the first down at the 49-yard line of KC.
Don, when you want to attack the 3-4 defense and you don't have a great overpowering nose tackle in Ken Kramer, and with 3 outstanding inside linemen of Kuchenberg and their center number 57, Dwight Stevenson and Ed Newman, they will work up the middle on the Chiefs today.
That was a 19-yard gain up the middle as Tony Nathan ripped off the big one. Now Miami goes 1st and 10 to Andre Franklin trying to go wide. And he is run down as the linebackers move out quickly. Thomas Howard, a veteran from Texas Tech, led the way 52.
And that's why you want to go up the middle. With the 4 linebackers, they'll string it out and you'll have no gain. You want to utilize a great center. The center of the Dolphins is one of the better blockers I've seen in the game for years. Just allow him to go one-on-one with Kramer. Let your big fullback or your halfback take the ball and choose the hole, and as they did the prior play.
Dwight Stevenson from Alabama, that center, he really is a good blocker.
Sure is.
Chiefs a very motivated team under John Mackovic. They're 1-2 after losing their last 2 times out. Led last week 12-0 at Washington. Whoop. Those quick defensive ends might have jumped the gun again. We'll see again, though, if they were drawn off. The last time it was an offside against Kansas City, you'll recall. As right now, the first quarter clock shows 7:45 to play. And the Chiefs are a leader. 3-0 on a 45-yard field goal.
91 defense.
Kramer, the middle guard, called for it. Chiefs a leader, 3-0 on Lowry's 45-yard field goal into a gusting and very, very strong wind.
I think that staggered count is something that Don Shula has taught for years. Bob Greasy used to stagger the count, his voice inflection coming in, and you get 2 young, aggressive defensive ends like Still and Bell, they're going to come on every voice change.
2nd down and almost 6 to go for the first down now for Miami. The Dolphins trailing 3-0 with a very strong wind at their back. Woody Bennett goes wide, and a fired-up chief linebacker, Charlie Jackson, comes ripping in. Out of the University of Washington. Big defensive play. Now for another update on the scores around the league to NFL 83 in New York.
And Don in Pittsburgh, a long opening drive. Cliff Stout at quarterback, goes back, looks for Calvin Sweeney. He has him, and Franco needs just 4 more yards to pass O.J. Pittsburgh's on top. Back to Miami.
Dave.
And back here at the Orange Bowl, we have the 3-0 score on the board as the scores start to roll in now early on this, the 4th weekend of play. 3rd down and 12, a spread formation. David Woodley from the shotgun rips a long one downfield. Incomplete, and the Dolphins will have to punt the ball. Even with that strong wind, it's much too far for Von Schaumann to try a field goal. Nat Moore was the intended receiver. Dolphins have a problem in their receiving corps. 2 of their very good ones, Jimmy Cefalo and Tommy Vigorito, both out after knee surgery.
Don, the young phenom is in the game. Reggie Roby, one of the best punters, they say, to come in for a long time. I'll reserve that until he hits them for several years, but he's had over 5-second hang times in a game, 63-yard punts, tremendous abilities. We'll just see over the time how he becomes effective or not.
He just unloads on the ball, hits off a high spiral. It's going to carry deep. They'll let it hit. Takes a bounce for the Dolphins, though, and they down the ball at the 11-yard line. So the big fella from Iowa, Reggie Roby, pounds the ball high into the air. With the wind at his back, it comes down and takes a Dolphin hop, a 40-yard punt, but it's down at the 11-yard line. We'll be back with the Chiefs on offense right after this.
If you want it,
I like it.
if you really like it,
I really like it.
we can help you get it. We're GMAC.
I want it.
We're GMAC Financing.
GMAC has helped more people buy their new GM car or truck than anyone, with rates that make sense on models people want. All at your GM dealer.
If you really want it, we can help you get it. We're GMAC Financing.
We got it.
You know, a guy like me can't afford equipment breakdowns. Hi, I'm Terry Bradshaw. Down here on my farm in Louisiana, I protect all my engines with Conoco motor oil. For over 60 years, Conoco's been improving oils to help engines run trouble-free in all seasons. I need that kind of veteran performance because when I'm driving, I can't afford a breakdown.
Conoco, when you can't afford a breakdown in protection.
Especially when I'm up here in Pittsburgh.
John Makovic on the left, head coach of the Chiefs in his first year. Don Shula in his 21st year as a head NFL coach.
I like what Coach Makovic's doing. He stepped into an organization that needed leadership. He's a dominant personality. Everything is positive. Good things are going to come for the Chiefs down the road.
Well, the players believe in it. They're a very optimistic group, young as they are, with a 1-2 record and playing in one of the toughest ball yards in pro football to win in, the Orange Bowl in Miami against the Dolphins. We got lots of guys leaving early in this game. Billy Jackson gets the carry. That was Bo Camper, number 58, who jumped off cross with 6:35 left to play in the first quarter, and Kansas City in the lead 3-0. Don Criqui with Jim Turner on a warm and sunny and very windy day in Miami. Signal against the Dolphins, so the Chiefs get a nice down and yardage call for Kenny, the quarterback, 1st and 5.
I mentioned a little while ago about the wide receiver of the Chiefs being so tickled that Makovic's there. All receivers want to catch the ball, like kickers want to kick field goals. Carson is an unknown product. Don Coryell said he's a true superstar at wide receiver already, and they're just tickled to death because Makovic is going to throw the football.
Well, they talked to the Redskins. They saw it go up 47 times against them. This is Carlos Carson in motion. They go to the run up the middle. Running hard is Jarrell Thomas from San Jose State, the L.A. Ram that Kansas City brought in. Baumhauer, the middle guard, made the stop for the Dolphins. Reported to be one of the highest paid players in pro football now with his new contract, Bob Baumhauer.
Well, it's good to see the linemen finally start to get some of the money they deserve. They're in the trenches, so to speak. Quarterbacks and halfbacks have always received it. I like to see what's happening today with the money coming around to the football players. Would have liked it when I was in, though.
They're about 5 years late.
Yeah.
Handoff goes, and Billy Jackson runs hard. The yards do not come easy against this Dolphin defense, but Jackson digs it out, gets the 2 he needed, gets a first down for the Chiefs. More scores starting to come in from around the league. Pittsburgh has moved out in front of the New England Patriots 7-0. First quarter at Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh. There's the Cincinnati score. Bengals leading on the Ken Riley return of an interception for a touchdown. Detroit on a Benny Ricardo field goal. Minnesota with that field goal goes out in front 3-0 over the Lions, playing at the Hump in Minneapolis. 5:25 to play, first quarter. Kansas City with a first down. Jarrell Thomas works hard for yardage and does well. Gets ahead for 6 or more as Ernest Roan, one of the inside linebackers from Miami, knocks him down.
Don, the Chiefs made an interesting move before the season in acquiring Bob Rush, the center from the Chargers. He solidified that young line. A fine football player. You have to have the solid man on the nose. Now that Jack Rudney is retired, I think Bob Rush is going to be in there for a long while.
He stabilized the offensive line, Bob Rush. A couple of younger people in there, including a rookie at right tackle, Dave Lutz from Georgia Tech. They like him, though. Think he's going to be good. He's certainly big enough, Lutz, 285 pounds. Second down and 4. Back to the run, and the Chiefs break it open. Jarrell Thomas gets ahead and gets across the 40 as he rips off a gain on that one of about 12 yards.
And that's what they need. They need the confidence. We talked to Coach Makovic earlier when we were off the air, and he says, I've just got to get a little more balance. I know that I want to throw the ball, but I can't be successful throwing the ball against Miami as much as I did last week. They had to settle for 4 field goals from Lowry and still lost the game. They threw for 46 times, well over 300 yards, and lost the game. So he's got to get the balance in his offense.
They're moving it nicely, running the ball, passing the ball, and now Kansas City moves out to a 1st and 10 from their 40. A quick timing pattern to Anthony Hancock. So it must be hemmed in and knocked down, or it's gone. A super fast wide receiver. Back to NFL 83 in New York.
And in Pittsburgh, with Franco Harris needing just 1 yard to pass O.J., Cliff Stout back to pass, throws, intercepted by Steve Nelson, falls on his own, flips it up to Clayton Wiseun. The linebacker scores it. That game is tied. Back to Miami.
Thank you, Len. Interesting development as the Patriots now tie up the favorite Steelers at Pittsburgh. Right now, we have an upset early as the game is, as the Chiefs are leading favorite Miami 3-0. Late in the first quarter, 3:18 to play in it. 2nd and 3, back to the run. Jarrell Thomas turns wide, turns the corner, and Kansas City gets another first down running the ball. So everybody was looking for pass from the Chiefs, but they've come out running more and more as the game wears on.
Well, you control the clock with the run. The Miami offense obviously does not have the ball. You're establishing some confidence in your young team. One thing I do notice, when Anthony Hancock is out wide at wide receiver, they're giving him an awful lot of room. They know that he's a world-class sprinter.
Playing way off him. Right now, Hancock's going out to the top of your screen, number 82. And the guy in the slot at the top, 88, Carlos Carson's just about as fast. They've got 2 burners. High set in the backfield. First down and 10 Chiefs. Play faking. Kenny takes a look. He's got a man, tight end Willie Scott, and Willie is ahead for a gain of 9 yards. So it'll be 2nd down and 1, very close to a first down. Willie Scott, a big tight end from South Carolina. Kenny's triggering the ball very nicely.
He's got a great arm. He's got a great attitude. They think that he can read the defense so much better than Steve Fuller did. That's why they traded Fuller away. The last play, though, is so well designed. Quick short roll, the little soft pocket roll they used to give Lenny Dawson, and pull the tight end back in the middle while the wide receivers open it up on the side for him. I like that kind of play.
Very impressive offensive performance so far by Kansas City. Well-conceived game plan against one of the best defenses in football. Now they go back to the run. Billy Jackson takes it at the Dolphins on 2nd down and a yard. Jackson gets ahead for 4 or 5 more, down to the 32. 1:36 to play in the first quarter. Let's take a look at Bob Baumhauer, the middle guard, who's normally a big force in that defensive front of Miami, but they've been blocking him well.
Well, they've got Bob Simmons at 1 guard, and of course, look at Rush and how they're doing it. They're taking it to him with young Brad Buddy and Matt Herkenhoff. I think the excitement level is playing a lot right now in this first part of the game. The Chiefs really do think they can win under Coach Makovic. It doesn't matter whether to them right now that the Dolphins were in the Super Bowl last year.
They're getting a lot of looks at Super Bowl teams. Here's a quick throw and first down to Beckman, one of the tight ends swinging out. He's got yardage. Ed Beckman from Florida State. Back in Florida and doing well. Going to be 2nd down now and about 3. Minute and 4 seconds left to go in the first quarter. Kansas City leading the game 3-0. You talked about Super Bowls, Jim, and the Chiefs have been seeing a lot of Super Bowl teams, both on the road. Now Washington, and then this week Miami, back-to-back against the two teams that were in Pasadena last January. Off on second and about 3, goes straight ahead, and Jarrell Thomas takes it ahead. Franco Harris is breaking records today. For more on that, back to NFL 83.
All right, Don Criqui, here is the history-making run of Franco Harris. 11 yards on the carry. He's now number 2 all-time. They stopped the game, gave him the ball. Bedlam in Pittsburgh. Back to Miami.
Thank you, Lenny. And right now, with the Dolphins on defense and Kansas City driving, the fans start up here in Miami. They weren't expecting this. Chiefs leading the game 3-0 and driving, and they're doing with a lot of running now. Back to Billy Jackson. This time the Dolphins submarine the blocking. And he might be short, Jim Turner.
I think he's short. He made a little hesitation in the backfield right when they handed off rather than just powering it in. We'll have to see how the officials measure it. Isn't it amazing how Franco Harris has stood up over the years to break that record?
Phenomenal. He looks better than he's ever looked. He's trim and fast.
Even more amazing is what Jim Brown did in less years.
The other thing you have to consider about Franco Harris, though, is that he has played over a full season of games just in postseason play. So whatever he's been in the league, the 12 years he's been in, add another year for all those postseason games.
Don, this is a big play for the Chiefs. They're going to go for it. Big play for the offensive line so that they can establish themselves against a pretty darn good football team, the Dolphins.
Before they do, we're going to swing to the other end of the field as the first quarter comes to an end with the Chiefs in the lead 3-0. Now Kansas City will be working with the wind at their back. We'll be back to the Orange Bowl in Miami right after this.
Jimmy, it can go anywhere. GMC Jimmy, it can even go there. Give me a Jimmy, I'll work all day. GMC Jimmy, will go out and play. Give me a Jimmy to get the job done. GMC Jimmy to follow the sun. GMC, a truck you can live with. Confidence, we installed it at Sears.
Confidence? You're looking at it. I can replace your old muffler with a Sears muzzler for only $19.99 plus labor, warranted for as long as you own the car. If it fails, we'll replace it free.
Want confidence in your brakes? I've been installing it for years. We'll give you a 2-wheeler brake job for only $69.99 for most American and import cars.
There's more for your car.
Confidence installed day and night.
There's more for your life at Sears.
You know, the secret to a comfortable retirement is really no secret. You need a smart investment firm to help you get there.
And the best way to find that investment firm is to ask a lot of questions.
And Katie and I asked.
And the more we ask, the more good things we heard about one company, Dean Witter.
We heard about the quality of their financial advice and programs.
We heard they really listen, really care.
For us, Dean Witter was worth asking about.
Dean Witter. Worth asking about.
With Jim Turner, this is Don Criqui back at the Orange Bowl in Miami, where the Chiefs are the surprise team early in this game. Through the first quarter of play, they're the leader, 3-0 on a 45-yard Nick Lowry field goal into a very strong wind. And now the Chiefs, running more than they have all season, are moving the ball on the Dolphins. Interesting blocking scheme, Jim. They're doubling up on the middle guard of Miami, Bob Baumhauer, and he's having a problem.
Well, and then the runner is cutting off of that block. So that's exactly what you want to do offensively. I think they'll follow in behind Rush and Brad Buddy on this one.
Fourth down, a yard to go. Billy Jackson gets the first down and more, but there is a penalty marker down at the line of scrimmage. The Chiefs going on 4th and 1 for the first down, and as you saw, a ripped 10-yard run, but illegal motion against Kansas City. That'll probably bring the field goal unit out. So the first down is negated, and out comes Lowry in the field goal unit. think the run would have gotten there without the illegal motion. That was a well-conceived play again.
Well-conceived play behind the blocking of that interior line, and Bob Simmons pulling out with the trap block. I watched Nick Lowry
illegal
kick.
motion, 35 offense, 4th down.
I watched Nick kick before the game with the wind, and he wasn't as successful as you would think he would be. The wind doesn't automatically give you accuracy, and this will be from 42 yards. Very tricky wind. Both goalposts are flopping in the wind there, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be accurate. And this is one of the fine kickers the football has seen for many a year.
Bill Kenny holds. There's plenty of distance on it. And again, Nick, he doesn't even celebrate when he kicks him through. He just trots off, all part of the day at the office. So Nick Lowry with 2 field goals in 2 tries. He sits 7 of 8 this year, and Kansas City leads 6-0.
Chevy Tough is taking charge. Moisture and road salt are murder on a pickup. But Tough Chevy S10 comes with built-in corrosion-fighting zinc-coated steel to help guard against rust. While Ford Ranger uses about 93 square feet, Chevy S10 gives you almost 3 times more zinc-treated steel, about 277 square feet. For year-round protection, Chevy S10's got you covered with tough corrosion-fighting steel. And now Chevy has 200,000 trucks coast to coast. With year-end allowances at 83s, it's dealing time.
Some things speak for themselves.
The battle of winless teams in Tampa. The Bengals were leading at 7-0. Kenny Anderson to the rookie from Oklahoma, Stanley Wilson. The Bengals now lead at 14-0. Back to Miami.
Don Shula waiting for his offense to get on track, but that's tough to do, Jim, when Kansas City's had the ball most of the time and they've run it so well.
Controlling the ground game, controlling the clock. You wonder how long it's going to be before the Chiefs fans realize with Lowry and Stenerud, they may have the 2 greatest kickers that's ever been in the game.
Right now, Lowry kicks off, and Colton Walker return is going to come out of the end zone. He's not going to get near the 20 as he's swept under at the 15-yard line. He did well to handle on the ball. The Chiefs in the red are a hitting bunch.
Fulton trying to bring that 98-yard excitement that he had in the Super Bowl last year with that touchdown. I don't think it was a wise decision to bring the ball out.
4 yards deep, you usually come down, but it's all hindsight, and he is a guy that can go the distance. Fulton Walker from West Virginia. You see the last scoring drive from the Kansas City Chiefs, kind of reminiscent of last weekend's game at RFK Stadium in Washington when they moved the ball up and down the field against the Redskins, and yet in the first half could not get in the end zone. First quarter score, New England 7, Pittsburgh 7. Chiefs had a 12-0 halftime lead, you'll recall, on the Redskins, and then were outscored by Washington 27-0 in the second half and lost 27-12. They've done their best in the first half. Swing pass, a nice screen, and the run is ahead across the 20 and out close to the 23-yard line. Ken Kramer was the man who made the knockdown on the play. Tony Nathan coming out of the backfield.
Well, you can certainly see the Bob Greasy effect on David Woodley there. It looked just like Bob, and Bob was always so well at faking with that screenplay.
Dallas Cowboys rolling again this year with a 7-0 advantage over New Orleans in the first quarter at Texas Stadium. Talk about cracking the whip, Jim. Tom Landry said to be doing that in Dallas. He's tucking his boys in 11 o'clock on Saturday night now.
I like it. I like it.
No more freedom. Second down and 3, and he gets out to the 25-yard line. Gary on the play. Makes it close to a first down, but just short of it. Art Still made the knockdown on Andre Franklin. Apparently close enough to measure, so Gene Barth, the referee, calls for the sticks.
With the rain we've had here the last couple of days, I came down to the field specifically to see if there was a tarp on the field, which the league told us every stadium had to have. Don, the tarp is not anywhere near the Orange Bowl. They do not have a tarp. Now, we remember that story from last year, don't we?
We remembered very vividly the American Conference Championship game. I think Walt Michaels is still complaining about it, wherever he is.
I think he has it right.
Well, the Dolphins' position, it's a city-owned stadium, and they asked for a tarp. city said they had to take bids, went through the long red tape and bureaucratic process, and they still don't have a tarp is the bottom line. Minnesota leading Detroit in the first quarter 3-0 on the Ricardo field goal. Field goals have been the story here in Miami also, as the Dolphins trail the Kansas City Chiefs 6-0. Nick Lowry hit a long one into the wind, a shorter one with the wind at his back, and Don Shula wants to see his Dolphins get the big play pretty soon. They're going to go for first down yardage here on 3rd and less than 1. Woodley, a very good athlete, leaps over the top. I talked to David before the game, Jim, as you did. He's a terrific runner, ran a lot at LSU. He said they don't want me to run here, and once you get hit a few times in this league, you can understand why.
Well, it'll end your career real quick. Nice play calling there, coming behind the blocking of the two guards. And as we said, number 57, Dwight Stevenson, may be as good as they come in football. Very unheralded, but unheralded offensive lineman. You think, Don, there's very much looking over the shoulder by Woodley and Kenny at the two strong-arm #1 draft choices quarterbacks sitting on the bench right now?
Interesting point. They certainly have to be aware of it. Terrific prospect at Kansas City in Blackledge from Penn State. Here's a blitz by Burris, but the ball is released by Woodley, although incomplete. Lloyd Burris delivered a very big defensive play, you recall earlier, when he scooped up a fumble, ran it into Miami into the field, and subsequently Lowry hit the long field goal into the wind from 45 yards out for the first points of the game. Now Kansas City has extended that lead to 6-0. The Chiefs playing a very sound football game on offense and defense. David Woodley's put it up only 4 times, has completed just 1 for 8 yards. Philadelphia leads St. Louis 3-0 on a Tony Franklin field goal in the first quarter. 2nd down and 10, Miami. Woodley releases nicely, and the Dolphins get ahead for a first down. David Woodley looks over people and finally swings it out to Tony Nathan, who came out of the backfield and ran a down pattern right to the first down mark. Good play by the Dolphins.
And a good read by Tony Nathan. They knew they had to throw the ball, split the seams and everything. And Tony reads so well, as a veteran will, on an offensive pass pattern. David just stands in and throws it just enough to get the first down. And that's what you like about it. If you need 10, go 11 or 12.
Coming in, Jim, David Woodley has completed only 45% of his passes, but he's not been intercepted. Has a good quarterback rating, over 80. He throws judiciously. He doesn't put it up a lot and likes to be sure he knows where it's going. Here comes Burris again, shooting the gap. The Dolphins are knocked down at the 40. Carrying the ball is Tony Nathan. Thomas Howard filled. Burris, a terrific defensive back. Lloyd Burris all over the field. Now, while we have a moment, let's swing back to NFL 83 in New York.
All right, Don, more hard luck for Houston. Joe Cribbs for Buffalo goes up and over, then he fumbles it, but it's ruled a touchdown. So it's 7-3 Buffalo over the winless Oilers. Back to you, Don.
When it rains, it pours, and the Houston Oilers can't get a break, can they, Jim?
No, they're having a tough season.
0-3, and they let a couple of big veterans get away for draft choices because I think they're still looking to build with another big draft. Woodley is a good runner, and here he goes. But that kind of a hit when you're on the ground, it was a very clean and legal hit by linebacker James Walker, can put a quarterback out. It's when you're on the ground.
Excellent coverage by the Chiefs linebackers and cornerbacks and forced David to run. You're talking about the judicious passing of David Woodley, and he doesn't throw that many interceptions. That's a direct teaching from Bob Greasy, who worked with David at length about this. Don't just throw it in the pile. They're all covered. Then he uses his athletic ability. Some people think he's too much of an athlete and not enough of your straight drop back passer.
Well, he's an under control young guy. He's not a guy that's going to get all worked up and lose his head. He'll be around for a while, David Woodley. Trick play, pitch into Tony Nathan. He breaks into open field and goes all the way down to the 38-yard line of Kansas City. So the Dolphins take a page from the Dallas playbook, and a 14-yard gain results. Don Shula.
Well, he's not a fan of this. We've seen a lot of things. The old flea flicker. This is out of the shotgun, and it's a shuffle pass. They're thinking pass, obviously, and shuffles it right up to Nathan, takes it from some fine blocking. Kansas City back in pass defense and surprised them. Over the years, Shula will use every play in his playbook like that.
The 14-yard gainer on the quick pitch to Nathan. First and 10, Miami. Again, Burris comes up the line of scrimmage. He's talking, threatening blitz at all times. Here he comes. Swing pass as they go to the hot zone. It's completed in a fumble. Free ball. And Kansas City has it. That's a fumble. See if the officials concur. Tony Green comes over. Gary Green, and gets the ball. As the Dolphins have coughed it up twice now. 2 fumbles, this time Gary Green comes up with a football. Look at Burris.
It's a terrific read by Woodley. He sees Burris going into the blitz, and he just can't help. He can't carry him too for his tight end.
Dan Johnson gives it away, though.
Without ceremony, a badge is awarded to the Mercedes-Benz automobiles that reach 200,000, 500,000, and 1 million kilometers. Mileage they reach with proper care under some unceremonious conditions. The million-kilometer badge is the final badge given. After that, Mercedes-Benz high mileage is its own reward.
Who makes the best-selling radials in America? Goodyear. We outsell all foreign radials combined. One reason, the Goodyear Arriva. It gives you long tread life. And best of all-season traction in the wet stuff and the white stuff. The Goodyear all-season Arriva. It's one reason Goodyear is the leader in radials. No foreign maker of radials even comes close. Goodyear, #1 in radials.
Don't miss the very best in baseball. The pennant races are hot, and you'll be there for the key games, the crucial matchups. Find out if they're contenders or pretenders. Only on NBC Sports.
With Jim Turner, this is Don Criqui back at the Orange Bowl in Miami, where Kansas City leads the Miami Dolphins 6-0 on 2 Nick Lowry field goals. The young and the old in coaching annals, although Shula's still a relatively young man. He's been at this for 21 years as a head NFL coach. Makovic coming in with an interesting game plan, and his Chiefs are out in front as they go to the run. And Jarrell Thomas takes the ball on the 1st and 10 carry, gets out to the 29-yard line. Very aggressive Kansas City defense, Jim. Lloyd Burris particularly.
And you just wonder what it would be like if Gary Barbaro, who's in the contract dispute, would be in. They may go down with Gary Green, Barbaro, and Burris in there as one of the best defensive backfields in the game at the moment. I think Gary Barbaro is in a no-win situation. I certainly wouldn't take sides, but I'd love to see him back in football right now.
Terrific player, and he's probably watching this game in Metairie, Louisiana. That's his home. Handoff on a draw play, and Billy Jackson runs the ball and takes it straight ahead across the 30 and gets very close to the 32-yard line. There, it's going to be 3rd down and 5 for Kansas City as the second quarter clock now shows 8 minutes and 30 seconds left to play in the half.
And they're very happy with what they're doing. As I said, they're running the clock. They're controlling the game. It's okay. They're up by 6 points. They're in their mind. They remember what they did last week against the Redskins. They controlled that game the first half, still lost the game.
Gary Anderson just hit a field goal for Pittsburgh, and the Steelers lead New England 10-7, second quarter. Shotgun on 3rd and 5 for KC. Kenny has time, and a good defensive play. Mike Kozlowski coming up, an extra defensive back. He thought he should have had it. They were looking at Ed Beckman, and Kozlowski very nearly did have an interception.
Mike Kozlowski plays it so well when they go into the nickel defense. He's from right out by where I live now and played at CU at Boulder, Colorado. He's their kamikaze football player. I think he's an outstanding football player. Coach Makovic said they were going to go into a spread on all 3rd downs, and we see it. He's totally spread the field out, threw into coverage, which in the past has been a problem for Bill Kenny.
Jim Arnold, the rookie punter for Kansas City, hits a long one downfield, bounces inside the 25, starts back up, and the Dolphins pick it up at the 23, and there they'll go on offense as they are quickly swept under. Sowell, a rookie, picks it up, a 43-yard punt by Arnold. And now with 7:46 to play in the first half, KC leading 6-0. There's a break in the action.
You're gonna love it.
This computer makes sure everything fits like it's supposed to. And when things fit right, they work right. You're gonna love the way things fit.
At Ford Motor Company, we've made quality job one. We're building the highest quality cars and trucks of any manufacturer in America. Come drive the quality.
You're gonna love the quality Ford. Quality is job one.
I love love it.
Beatico Creek, Louisiana, and Milwaukee both mean something great to these guys. Beatico Creek means bass, fat and tasty. And Milwaukee means beer, cold, crisp, Old Milwaukee beer, and the smooth golden light taste of Old Milwaukee Light.
Old Milwaukee.
And Old Milwaukee Light.
Tastes as great as their name.
Let me tell you, it doesn't get any better than this.
What's the occasion? What's the occasion?
I'm dressed for the Emmys.
I'm dressed for the Emmys. I'm dressed for the Emmys. NBC Week's grand finale.
So be there.
Tonight.
Warm and windy in Miami, Florida at the Orange Bowl. Don Criqui with Jim Turner. Kansas City leading the Dolphins 6-0. KC looking good, Jim.
Well, they're controlling it. They're doing what the coach wants to do, but don't count the Dolphins out. The second half hasn't come yet.
We know about the Dolphins in either half, particularly the second half here in Miami. Under Shula over the years, the Dolphins have won upwards of 90% of their games on big game day when there's been 60,000 or more, and there's about that here today. Handoff, and Andra Franklin works so very hard, covers up that ball with both hands and takes it ahead.
And Don, you know that Coach Shula is still uptight about being totally dominated by the Raiders here in the out at Los Angeles last week, and he hasn't recovered from that and does not like what he's seeing out of his football club right now.
But I think one of the tremendous aspects of Shula and his makeup is his ability to have a disappointment like that game Monday night and come off it. He'll make his team better off a loss like that. He said you can't dwell on things past. You got to go ahead to the next game. A very interesting personality makeup has made him one of the Hall of Fame coaches in the game.
I think the fact that he played the game has a lot to being able to rebound from disappointment.
On a 2nd down and 6 carry, the Dolphins go to the run. Tony Nathan carries it ahead, and James Walker, an inside linebacker from Kentucky State, made the knockdown for Kansas City. Had a chance to visit at some length with Don Shula at his home yesterday, Jim. Future feature on NFL 83 on the Chronicle series, and Don Shula said there's 2 basic things in succeeding when you have to lead men, and he said number 1 is credibility. They have to believe in you, and number 2 is communication. You have to have the door open. You cannot have blockades thrown up. Your players have to know you and you them. That line of communication is so important.
I played with a couple of coaches that wouldn't talk to you over the season, and that's bad.
3rd down and less than a yard, and the Dolphins get a 1st down. Wait a minute, Kansas City has another fumble.
One official saying 1st down, the other one saying fumble recovery.
We're going to have to get ourselves... We'll wait for Gene Barth, the referee, to roll.
Well, I did see him drop the ball as he dove over the line of scrimmage.
David Woodley apparently did indeed fumble, so yet another disappointment for the Miami Dolphins. A 3rd turnover.
We're going to be able to see it. He does lose it. There it is, right there. Good call by the officials.
Jerry Blanton was the man who hit the ball free, and then Duron Sherry, the young free safety from Rutgers, a free agent, starting for the absent Gary Barbaro, made the recovery. So 3 times John Makovich's Chiefs have come up with fumble recoveries, and now Don Shula is starting to wonder, when does this end?
And he remembers what happened to him last week, and he doesn't want to get his guys in this losing mode.
Carlos Carson comes out wide to the right.
They're booing, but that was a good call.
Anthony Hancock on the left flank. Chiefs challenging again. Kenny takes a look. Throws, and woo, he almost had it into the hands of A.J. Dewey. You talked about the last Super Bowl when the run back by Fulton Walker put Miami back in the game. We remember in the playoffs, A.J. Dewey running an interception for a touchdown against the Jets.
He set new standards for linemen and linebackers, whichever position he wanted to play. I found it interesting this week that A.J. and Bill Arnsparger have their own little signals, whether he goes into the rover linebacker or the down back himself.
The Arnsparger coach defense. His title of assistant head coach, a very interesting makeup also. Lots of different looks for an offense to challenge, and Kansas City right now takes a look at a spread formation in the secondary of Miami on 2nd and 10. Jarrell Thomas takes a look, hits the hole, can't get it there, spins off and gets ahead for 3. It'll be 3rd down and 7. Ernest Roan has just returned to the lineup. He's been out with an injury, makes the tackle for Miami.
Betters and Baumhauer stacked it up. I like the second effort you saw out of Jarrell Thomas. They need to get him involved. They got him in a trade from the Rams this year. Traded a lot of good football players around the Rams and the Chiefs. But Jarrell has to get himself so that he has the confidence of his linemen and take the ball on that second effort. That's a good point there.
Big down right now. 3rd down and 7. Shotgun formation. 3 wide receivers and an extra tight end also deployed out, so there's 4 wideouts. And he throws, intercepted by Miami. Tim Beaucamper picks off the ball, comes across the 40, and he's out to the 47-yard line. Well, now Coach Shula says this is how we like it. The turnovers start to go our way.
And that's what you can't do. You must read the defensive alignment. In Kenny's pass, he's thrown the interceptions. You can't let Beaucamper, who is a big man, come back, stand up, and grab the ball out of the air. He didn't even see him. Look at that. And he was throwing into coverage. Kenny has to learn the Makovic philosophy of being able to read the defense better than he is.
We'll be back after this.
This is the wrong time to find out you don't have the right insurance. That's why it's a good idea to see an independent insurance agent before you buy your policy. Your independent agent can give you expert advice on how to choose the right coverage at the right price. And they're offering this free booklet that makes choosing the right insurance a little easier. Get it before you need it. Look in the yellow pages for your independent insurance agent, the more than one company agent.
Up before the sun, got the Honda ATC, gonna have some fun. Going freewheeling, it's my lucky day. Going freewheeling, come on out and play. Take it up, take it down, round and round and round. Going freewheeling, got the Honda ATC, going freewheeling.
Back at the Orange Bowl in Miami, this is Don Criqui with Jim Turner. The Dolphins are trailing Kansas City 6-0 on 2 Nick Lowry field goals. We have 5:06 to play in the first half. Today's game is brought to you by Lincoln Mercury, offering a complete range of quality automobiles for 1984 from Lynx to Lincoln. By Southern Pacific, 41,000 people working in 18 industries all across America. And by Bud Light, the best has a taste all its own. The Dolphins, after turning the ball over 3 times on fumbles in the first half, and twice Kansas City turned those into points on field goals, now get a turnover back their way as Beaucamper intercepts Bill Kenny, and the Dolphins have the ball at their 47-yard line, 1st down and 10. Tony Nathan behind Bob Kuchenberg. And Nathan is swept under, and again it is Lloyd Burris coming across as the strong safety, making the tackle. They talk about how good Burris is. This is a real Hall of Fame game for him.
Oh, and he's playing so well, and I credit the new defensive coordinator of the Chiefs for his play. Lloyd Burris, we noticed he's blitzing an awful lot. You better have your teammates ready, because that blitz leaves everybody else in man coverage. To date, at least in this game, Woodley's been able to pick it up. He's suffering some fumbles after they catch it, but I think they're going to catch Lloyd Burris in that blitz, and we may see a bomb coming up.
John Makovic, stepping in as the head coach of Kansas City, knows a tough schedule. It's going to get stay as tough for KC. Chiefs in Seattle with the toughest schedule in the league. Football, and the Chiefs have the ball again, a 4th. Miami fumble in the first half, and every time Kansas City's come up with the ball. And who else but number 34, Lloyd Burris of the Chiefs, makes the big play.
All over the field today. They said he's the hidden factor on their ball club, the best kept secret. Watch how he hovers around the ball. He sees it's down, now he's got it. Bud Carson's defense will gamble. Another fumble for the Miami Dolphins.
Tony Nathan fumbles the ball again, and the Chiefs have it when we come back.
Compared to the time you spend behind the wheel, 30 seconds is hardly a fair amount of time to judge the handling characteristics of any car. One car recognizes that reality, the Mercury Topaz. Instead of trying to fully explain the advantages of independent rear suspension and front-wheel drive, we invite you to experience the effect for yourself and discover in this free 20-page book a more detailed explanation of Topaz's many advancements. The 1984 Mercury Topaz, a more enlightened approach.
Bring out your best.
I wasn't drafted till the 7th round. They don't even know my name.
The best.
Schroeder, huh?
It has a taste all its own. Enjoy it.
Undefeated knockout artist John Collins battles tough Tony Simpson. Then powerful women attack the bar. And the Gold Cup Unlimited hydroplane race, boxing, barbells, and boats. All on the season premiere of NBC's Sports World.
The turnovers have told an unhappy story for Don Shula and his Dolphins today. 4 Miami turnovers on fumbles. Kansas City pouncing on every one. Lloyd Burris got the last one. It was on a missed handoff from David Woodley to Tony Nathan. Woodley charged with the fumble at second. Good look at it a second time. Our producer today for NBC, Ron Kershaw. Our director, Bob Levy, as we have 4:16 to play in the first half, and the Chiefs go back to bang-bang football right at the Miami defense. Jarrell Thomas, a 230-pound runner out of San Jose State, only 5 feet 10 inches tall, runs head-on into Bob Baumhauer for a 3-yard gain.
And you can't have missed opportunities. The Chiefs knew they missed the last one with the interception. They at least want to come out of this with a field goal.
Scores coming in. Cincinnati going for its first win with a big lead at Tampa Bay. Problems with that team, apparently. Philadelphia beats leading St. Louis 3-0. John McKay, coach of the Buccaneers, said last week, my critics don't know a football from a banana. The next day he got a crate of bananas in the bin. Penalty marker goes down on a 2nd down and 6 carry for Kansas City. So when McKay got the crate of bananas, he said, the next time I'm going to say my critics don't know the difference between a football and a new car. Now let's go back to NFL 83 in New York.
Well, Don, elsewhere in Florida, it's all Cincinnati Bengals. This is Charles Alexander, 2 yards, 20-0, Cincinnati on top of winless Tampa Bay. Back to you, Don.
Thank you, Len. I think the Bengals have a special reason for wanting to win up around Tampa Bay, because some of their good people are going to be heading to that U.S. Football League franchise in Florida. One of their offensive coordinators has already left. The Bengals with a great football team that's been troubled by some internal problems, the suspension of a couple of key players because of the narcotics involvement, and then the loss of 2 key people next year, like the tight end and the great wide receiver Chris Collinsworth to the U.S. Football League. Forrest Gregg's done a big job at Cincinnati, though.
He has been able to hold it together. He's doing a fine job.
It is now 2nd down and 12, and the Chiefs go to the run on the play. Billy Jackson doesn't get much.
And that surprises me, that call. 2nd and 12 going wide against a very good defensive football team like the Dolphins. You'd think with all the passing they've been done, he'd try to get it down a little further. Now they have to pass the ball. Now what do you do? Hancock's in the game.
Goes in the game along with Willie Scott. Now it's Scott in there alone. They're going to go with the wideouts on a long yardage play. They'll be coming from the shotgun as Anthony Hancock goes wide to the right. Carlos Carson's on the left flank. And out comes Henry Marshall.
All 3 of their wide receivers in the game at the moment. All 3 very dangerous.
Big rush. They pick it up. Here's a free ball. It is intercepted by Miami. Brown, a rookie linebacker from Purdue, gets the ball that was tipped, and the Dolphins have a 2nd turnover, and they're on the Kansas City side of the field now.
Kenny had the man open for the reception, but the great line penetration caused the tip, able to intercept the ball. That's the 2nd time. He's got the wide receiver open. It's Hancock on the opposite side. Look at the penetration, able to come in like you block a field goal. They pick it off for the interception. That's 2 times in a row now. Their drive has been stopped by the Miami Dolphins interception.
Get
Get rid of your old muffler. The new Arrestor Plus muffler is now on sale at Kmart K-Care Auto Centers for just $19.88 installed, and it's warranted for as long as you own your car. Kmart's best 4-ply tire is on sale, too, starting at $29, and it has a 25,000-mile wear-out warranty. Service, value, satisfaction. At K-Care Auto Centers, that's a promise we make, and we make good.
Where'd you get this price? That's not the weekend rate you promised me.
Of course it is, sir.
No way.
Would I lie?
Are you sure?
Oh, I'm positive, sir.
Only National guarantees weekend rates. Just $19.95 a day or less for any car up to this old cutlass, guaranteed. And if we don't deliver, you'll get $50 off your next rental. We give you national attention, and that's the truth.
It's Franco Harris Day in Pittsburgh. Now the #2 rusher in the history of the National Football League. All the details coming up right here on NFL 83 at halftime.
Right now, we pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
This is WDAF TV4, Kansas City.
Kansas City, the underdog, a surprise leader, 6-0 here at Miami, up on the Dolphins on 2 Nick Lowry field goals. And right now, Miami, a team that's turned the ball over 4 times on fumbles, has just gotten it back on a second turnover as we had an interception of Kansas City on a tip pass. David Woodley putting it up, throws the ball, and a good throw. The cornerback, Lucius Smith, coming up very quickly, makes the hit. Coming back at the ball was the veteran Duriel Harris making the reception, ahead for a gain of 10 yards and a first down.
And only the second time they've attacked Lucius Smith. The surprise was us because we knew they were going to attack him. They feel he is the weak link on the corner, and I would assume they'll continue to go at it and try to just move it on down the field.
They talk about a few fiery players inspiring a whole defense. We've seen that today with the play of people like Lloyd Burris of Kansas City, who's done a big job. Now he's playing way off the line. He was blitzing earlier. First and 10, penalty marker down. Woodley takes a look, eludes the rush. He's got yardage. David Woodley darting ahead. Look at him go down to the 16-yard line. Woodley ahead for a gain of about 17 yards, but there is a penalty marker down at the line of scrimmage. Woodley wants to get right in there, Jim, and find out which way is this one going.
All the quarterbacks in there. You remember all those Raider games when Gene Upshaw was always on a television talking to the officials. Good coverage. He sees that he doesn't want to make the mistake. Look, he's covered. Good rush. An illegal chuck on the defense, and Woodley takes his athletic ability to move the ball up on the field, and they will impose a little bit more yardage from the point of where he was tackled.
Defender cannot hit the receiver after he's 5 yards downfield, and that was the case against the Kansas City Chiefs, and so the penalty assesses against Kansas City and brings the ball down to the 12-yard line.
You can see how decimated the Chiefs have become. They've lost Gary Spaney, their best linebacker, a tremendous leader, and then his replacement was lost for the year. Dave Klug, Gary Barbarough's not in the game, and it's tough to come into a game like this against a well-coached team like the Dolphins.
Right now, 1:51 left to play in the first half, and we'll be back right after this.
Aetna, I'm glad I met you. With Aetna's new Econoflex Universal Life Insurance, I'm covered for $100,000. For $1.12 a day.
And with Econoflex, my money starts earning tax-deferred interest at the current rate, no matter how high.
And when I can use a little extra cash, Econoflex actually lets me skip some premiums.
New Econoflex Universal Life Insurance from Aetna.
Aetna, I'm glad I met you.
I thought Canon came up with personal cartridge copying just to simplify my business. Why else would they make maintenance as easy as changing a cartridge? But now, Canon's PC-10 and PC-20 are minding everyone's business. Even my dentist has one. He changes copy colors faster than you can say, ah. Canon's PC copiers. Now they're minding everyone's business. Hey, these are mine.
Oh, we'll use gas.
For information, call toll-free. Canon Personal Cartridge Copying. Plain and simple.
Our quarterback counsel on the sidelines, David Woodley, hearing from Don Shula and from Don Strock, the veteran who is now in his 10th year. He recently signed a contract. There was some speculation he might jump leagues. And as you talked about earlier, Jim, the Dolphins have a tremendous prospect in Dan Marino, the #1 draft choice out of Pittsburgh. He rallied the team last Monday night at Los Angeles against the Raiders. Too little, too late, though, but he did move the ball club.
Well, Shula really likes him, and he wouldn't be afraid to put him into the game.
Now, the Dolphins feel that Marino is even better than what they thought they got when they drafted him in the first round. With the right coaching, they feel he's going to be an outstanding player. Right now, a fake, and Tony Nathan goes into the middle of the line and then turns upfield. Chiefs must have felt they had him because they stopped pursuing, and Tony Nathan with his good speed sprints to the outside, comes inside the 10-yard line down to the 9. Minnesota blowing out Detroit 17-0 in the second quarter.
Woodley has to feel real comfortable down there. He has such an outstanding offensive line. They can control the defensive line of the Chiefs right now, whether you want to pass it or try to run it in. He's got to feel very, very solid with that in mind.
Nat Moore goes wide to the left for Miami. Uriel Harris is on the right flank. Woodley calls his own number, takes some hard licks, and he's down very close to the goal line. He didn't get in. He's inches away. Dwight Stevenson, that center you were talking about earlier, Jim, was the man who really came off the ball and blasted open on a quarterback draw the middle of the Kansas City defense.
Well, and that's what I was talking about. Able to come behind the old man. They pull a little slip block, and he just did the quarterback draw behind Kuchenberg and behind the center Dwight Stevenson. And that's exactly what I was talking about. They'll give you that extra chance to get in the end zone.
So the Dolphins will challenge for the go-ahead score when we come back.
There is a side of the professional athlete that few people see. There is a loneliness and unknowing. The thought that you may not make it, you might fail. It's not an easy battle. It takes endurance. I knew if I worked hard enough and kept trying, I'd win. I'm Nick Lowry of the Kansas City Chiefs, and there's a different kind of courage that I've seen as a United Way volunteer. Here at this United Way supported agency, they're fighting against the same old enemies of fear and loneliness, and they are trying just as hard as they can to make their minds and bodies respond. You may not see it personally as I have, but every time you give to the United Way, you're saying, keep trying, don't give up. And that's why I want to say thanks, because thanks to you, it works for all of us, the United Way.
Back at the Orange Bowl, the Chiefs are leading 6-0, but right now Miami's just set to go in. And we remind you that this telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League. It is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Miami Dolphins and the National Football League is prohibited. Some goal line people come in now. Big Dino Mangiero in as a down lineman for Kansas City. Roy Foster, normally an offensive tackle, is in as a tight end set to the left side. A power formation. See if Woodley goes himself. No, he goes to Franklin. He's in. He crossed the plane of the goal line. So Miami ties the game. Roy Foster, a 270-pound tackle, was one of the lead blockers. He was deployed as a tight end on that play. And with 1 minute left to play in the first half, the Dolphins tie the game, and they can go ahead if Von Schaumann hits the field goal or the extra point.
Franklin's just too strong to tackle on the goal line and try to hold him just for a couple inch gain. Low to the ground, he knows where the end zone is. One of the real fine football players in the NFL, and they drafted him to be a blocker.
Well, that's what he was at Nebraska under Franklin, blocking for the likes of Jarvis Redwine and I.M. Hip, Rick Burns. 230 pounds, and he's about 5'9", so you either get him shin high or you don't get him. And he runs low. Von Schaumann puts the extra point up and good. It breaks the tie, so the Dolphins misfiring in the first half with 4 turnovers on fumbles. Finally sustain a drive. Franklin on the payoff end, and Miami has taken a 7-6 lead. We'll watch the touchdown again.
And they actually have 3 tight ends in the game if we consider last year's #1 draft choice, Roy Foster, who had to check in and play. But look at all the big men in the line coming back behind Bob Kuchenberg, takes the cut. Almost impossible to stop him for a 6-inch gain there. Powers over for the touchdown.
Cincinnati on the board now. James Owens, a 1-yard touchdown run. Tampa Bay gets its first score. Cincinnati leading 20-7. Don Shula and his Dolphins finally get on the board, and with the touchdown and the extra point, they take the lead 7-6.
2 theories on kicking off against the wind. If you get it high, it'll hold up. Your player, your teammates will be able to come underneath and cover it, and there'll be no return. Or kick it low and bounce it downfield, and then just go for your chances of a fumble. We'll see which way Uwe von Schamann wants to go. You notice that tee right there is a Jan Stenerud tee, designed by Jan, being sold around the country, and it's specifically built to give a little extra lean for the soccer kickers. As they come in from the side, they're able to scoop it up.
Virtually everyone is a soccer kicker now.
What happened to the good guys? Just Mark Mosley's the only one left. I think I'll bring my black shoes and come on back.
Get those high tops out of the closet.
Yeah, oh, they're beautiful.
With the weighted bottoms, Al Davis used to make
Davis used to make me check it with the officials, but they weren't weighted.
Look at the wind now. It absolutely holds up the ball like a wedge shot high into the air. Chiefs get it and do well to field it.
Actually, it's a good kick. You keep him anytime you keep the team inside the 23-24-yard line, you've had a good kick plus good coverage. And against a win like this, I think they made a good decision there.
Anthony Hancock was the man who took the ball on the 1 hop. So right now, with 58 seconds to play in the first half, Kansas City has the ball at their 25-yard line. The Chiefs trailing the Dolphins 7-6.
Reminiscent of last week, not able to take advantage of what you need. You have to just settle for the field goal. Field goals are fine, but they haven't scored a touchdown in a long while.
They've only scored 4 this season. They're now into their 4th game. They've not yet scored 1 running the ball. All 4 touchdowns for the Chiefs have come on passes. They're going to be firing now as Kenny is back in the shotgun on 1st and 10. Rips one out. Jarrell Thomas takes it in, goes out of bounds at the 30. You got 5. You need a lot more than that as the clock now is stopped with 52 seconds left to go. William Judson, the left side cornerback, was covering for Miami.
I notice a pattern that Kinney has established for himself in this first half, being very comfortable throwing the ball to the flats. He knows that the Cruz brothers are sitting down the middle and the linebackers of the Miami Dolphins, and he's had some problems with interception by throwing down the middle. He may, however, be a little too comfortable in that fact, and one of the cornerbacks will pick it off and take it for a touchdown. That pass has to be solid and precise.
The Blackwood brothers playing very deep as the safeties. Free ball, and Miami has it. Lateral, they're ruling it's down. These Dolphins, when they hit you, it comes fast. Doug Betters was on the free ball, and so now the turnovers start to even off. Miami was at a disadvantage 4-1 on turnovers, but now it's 4-3, and the Dolphins have excellent field position with 47 seconds left to go in the half.
And this is exactly why a lot of coaches are afraid of the shotgun. It comes back, and you're not able to grab the ball instantly. He's dropping back a little too soon. It's like a receiver. He was getting ready to run, drop the ball back instead of catch it first and then pass. It was a good snap from the center.
You get those interesting bits of information from the people who know the team so well. Bob Springer, the PR man for Kansas City, was pointing out that the center, Bob Rush, on a regular straight snap, snaps it back with his right hand, but on a shotgun snap, he uses his left hand. And that time, not very well, as the Dolphins have a chance to put another one up. 1st and 10 at the 21-yard line of Kansas City. Woodley on the sprint out. Takes a look and heads for the sideline. Woodley's taking some pops.
Lloyd Burris made him pay for that one.
40 seconds left to go. Thomas Howard helps him up.
Yeah, he said, stay up next time so I can hit you a little harder. The reason he didn't throw the ball, he's trying to throw back over the middle to the man coming in the seam. Excellent coverage by the Chiefs. This is what it's like to be a high-paid quarterback. They will come after you.
Whoa.
I see nothing wrong with that hit.
No, it's plain as can be. But when you're held up and you're sitting there and you're a quarterback. And
that's why I was a kicker, Don. I studied in college.
You were a quarterback for a while.
Yes, I was. Short while.
Went to the long-range plan. Handoff to Tony Nathan. Doesn't get much, so the Dolphins will call a timeout with 34 seconds left to play. Clock still running. Now they finally call timeout with 29. They're signaling for one. The clock's still running. It's down to 28. Not a timeout till the clock stops. Scoreboard's official unless it's not working properly. Second down and some 5 yards to go for the first down coming up as David Woodley comes to the sidelines. Woodley with his problems in the first half. You remember he fumbled the ball away twice. Once on a miscue, a bad handoff to Tony Nathan. But the Dolphins now coming back as they've taken 3 away from Kansas City. Miami leading the game 7-6. New England leading Pittsburgh 14-13. A Gary Anderson field goal got the Patriots, the Steelers back to within 1.
And you notice how much input Don Strock has right now. Coach Shula told me that Strock and Greasy and Earl Morrow, he felt those 3 guys really understood every thought he had about offensive football. And you always see the input that Don Strock has with his coach.
Interesting look there. Tom Landry is 3rd all-time in wins, but he has coached 3 more years than has Don Shula. Landry in his 24th year, Shula in his 21st.
A lot of stories going on right now. Uwe von Schamann getting ready, realized he's going to have to kick into the wind. David Woodley trying to remember exactly what Don Strock and Coach Shula called for the play on the sideline.
Jim, who's the winningest coach and who's second all-time?
Oh, that's a great question.
Well, we'll get to it in a minute. I wouldn't know unless I saw it in the book, which I did. Here's a throw by Woodley. Interception by Kansas City. The ball is picked off again by the Chiefs. Durwood Rockmore breaks into open field with blockers, and finally Rockmore is knocked down at the 47-yard line of Kansas City. Durwood Rockmore, number 38, an extra defensive back in to defend against the pass, and a 5th Miami turnover in the first half.
And defensive players work on this. It's the tip drill. Thrown at the receiver, tipped into his hands. Answer to your question, it would have to be George Halas. Coached 40 years in the NFL, and Papa Bear would have to be the winningest coach in the NFL.
320 wins, that's right. And second is Curly Lambeau.
Taken off the tip, nice return. Maybe in 14 seconds they'll be able to throw a pass or two and try to get Nick Lowery in range for a long shot.
And remember now, they have the wind at their back, but only 14 seconds on the clock. Miami leading 7-6. Last time he threw, you remember, Kenny was intercepted. He puts one downfield. He's intercepted again. Judson running the ball back upfield, puts on a stutter step move, turns to the outside, cuts through. He's still not done. Judson on his feet, breaks away for a moment, and he runs out the clock. So we've had some excitement as the second quarter winds out. Consecutive interceptions. Now Judson takes it back from Kansas City. First half rife with turnovers. That's the end of the first half to score. Dolphins 7, the Chiefs 6. Back at the Orange Bowl in Miami, it is Miami leading the Chiefs of Kansas City 7-6 at halftime. A first half marred by a lot of turnovers, like this interception thrown by Bill Kenny of Kansas City.
And Don, it's a point I made at the onset of the game. Bill Kenny will throw into coverage. A tremendous interception by William Judson, and he made a heck of a run back. Look at this attempt. If at the end of it he'd have lateraled into one of the Blackwoods, they may have gone all the way. Defensive backs just love this.
Interesting, Jim, to hear what Don Shula had to say to his team at halftime. He doesn't like his club to have 5 turnovers in 3 games, and so far they've had 5 in the first half.
Well, and that's not Shula football. They're controlled, well-coached, and they're playing into the hands of the young Chief team today.
Well, Kansas City has come in with a good game plan. They've been attacking. They've been coming out running and moving the ball very well. But now the turnover is starting to catch up. Kansas City's turned the ball over 4 times. If this continues, it's going to be a flip of a coin. We might go down to the final gun.
Well, it may come out, like you said, and the wind might have a final effect on who has the best field goal kicker.
And you brought out an interesting point, Jim, about when you have the wind at your back, that's no guarantee it makes passing easy. And we've seen the interceptions thrown with the wind at their back a number of times.
Well, I've seen Joe Namath throw many a time at Shea Stadium, and I kicked many a time there with the wind, and it wasn't a big asset. I can assure you that.
Joe could have those 5 touchdown days and those 5 interception days. He could also win some games like the one you guys won here in the Orange Bowl. You remember that still, don't you?
Super Bowl III. Gentleman standing on the sideline with a young coach of the Baltimore Colts at the time. He's never forgiven me for those 3 field goals against him. Don Shula.
Jets 16, Colts 7. Here's the kickoff to start the second half. Lowry kicks it, and Fulton Walker takes it on the run. Boy, these guys don't play patty cake. That Fulton Walker's going hard the minute he gets the ball.
You have to have that, Don. You have to have that on your special teams. But I'm surprised at Nick Lowry. He just kind of knuckled into the ball, trying to let the wind take it out. Never allow that team to get a good, fresh start like that on the 34-yard line.
Personal foul against the Kansas City Chiefs. And so there'll be a major assessment against KC. The ball's moved all the way out to midfield. So Miami, going into the wind in the third quarter, starts off in excellent field position.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 22, during the dead ball following the run back. First down.
Van Jakes was the guilty party, a special teams player, number 22 for the Chiefs.
And Don, over the year, your games will be decided 5 times or more by special teams. Plays like that, maybe a penalty will take you into kicking range or even take you out of range.
First down and 10 now for Miami. Handoff goes, and Andre Franklin takes the ball into the right side of the Chiefs defense, and he runs it down to the 46-yard line. Jim, you enumerated here, and I'd like to have you talk about them, some very interesting corollaries between these two football teams.
Well, they really do have a lot. Both teams have excellent defensive backs out. Don McNeil's injured. Gary Barbro's out with a contract. Excellent number 1 potential quarterbacks of the future in Blackledge and Moreno. Both teams have inconsistent quarterbacks. We certainly are seeing that today. And I feel they both have very, very fine, competent field goal kickers.
Good as any in the game, really. Lowry of the Chiefs and Van Schamme of the Dolphins. Lowry's accounted for all the Kansas City scoring 2 field goals. Out pattern, Nat Moore, a superior athlete, not big, from the University of Florida, dives back at the ball. He is the Dolphins' all-time leading receiver, now in his 10th year from Florida. Is asked to be traded in recent years because he hasn't been starting. But because of the injuries to Cephalo and Vigorito, he's in the starting lineup. Cephalo was the starting wideout with Duriel Harris.
And they certainly miss Vigorito and Cephalo a great deal. Very solid players. Hand-to-hand combat down there on the defensive line. Offensive linemen are allowed to let the arms go out. You may not believe it or not, a lot of players are taking karate lessons because of the new rules that allow offensive linemen to put their arms out and almost choke a defensive lineman.
Game's really getting rough.
Yes, it is.
There's some black belts out there. A couple of kung fu chops. Here is David Woodley lofting a ball down to Nat Moore. And he's screened off the play and hit by Lucius Smith at the corner. Gary Green and Lucius Smith, the Kansas City corners. Duran Cherry and Lloyd Burris are the safeties. Jackson, Blanton, Walker, and Howard back the line for Kansas City.
Don, that ball should have been caught. Well thrown by the quarterback, David Woodley. I was noticing in warm-ups, Reggie Roby, their fine young punter. I've not seen a ball jump off a foot in the NFL since the great Gerald Wilson of the Kansas City Chiefs. This is a huge punter. When he works his way around the stadiums, he's going to be around for a long while. See how he does against the wind. Drops the ball a little high sometimes. And there's the thing. You have to kick the ball low. Well, he hasn't had any technical coaching done in his college career. They don't have enough time right now for him. You have to have fundamental coaching. And when you're kicking against the wind, you have to drop the ball low and kick it low.
Reggie Roby comes off the field and will be back after this.
You demand quality and durability. Plymouth builds it in. The 550 Plymouth Reliant K, the highest mileage 6-passenger car in America. Match it. And the lowest price. Match it, celebrity. 4-door, 2-door, even a wagon. Match it, tempo. The 550 Plymouth Reliant K, backed with a 5-year or 50,000-mile protection plan.
Match it if you can.
Of the Rockies, the fresh of the Rockies. Brewed the Coors way, natural and pure.
Coors to you, the clean of it, all night through, the fresh of it. Rocky Mountain Gold, you got it. The best of the Rockies is yours.
Big Sunday coming up next Sunday on NBC Sports, starting at 12:30 Eastern Daylight Time. NFL 83 starts today with a special visit with Raiders sensational runner Marcus Allen. And then it's doubleheader action. Most of you see Marcus and the Raiders go against the defending Super Bowl champions, the Redskins, at Washington. Other games including Seattle against Cleveland, Houston at Pittsburgh, Denver at Chicago, San Diego versus the New York Giants. Lots of good ones next Sunday on NBC Sports. Kansas City, with its first possession of the third quarter, goes to the run. The rest of the lineup for next Sunday. And the late starting games, Miami heads down to the Superdome to play New Orleans. And the high-scoring Chargers go against the Giants at Meadowlands Stadium in New Jersey. Coach Don Shula saw his Dolphins turn the ball over 5 times in the first half. But still, they came out as a 1-point leader, and that's how it stands now. Miami holding to a 7-6 lead. Jarrell Thomas takes a run and takes a hard pop. People in there sticking. A.J. Duhay from LSU. The man who intercepted 3 against the Jets in the AFC Championship game, 1 for a touchdown. They feel he is the most dominant force in the Miami defense, 77 A.J. Duhay.
You wonder if Coach Makovich is getting a little conservative now with the interception problem Bill Kinney's having. You got to realize they're going to try to utilize the wind. They'll be going against a very stiff wind in the fourth quarter, and they're behind. Try to get a score in now.
Kenny goes to the run again, handing out to Jarrell. Jarrell Thomas is upended in rather dramatic fashion by the strong safety Glenn Blackwood. 5th-year defensive back from Texas. His brother Lyle, the free safety. Together they're known as the Bruise Brothers.
And you really have to appreciate the Blackwood brothers. Neither one of them are speed merchants. They just study the film so hard. Watch it. Glenn picks him up, turns him over, says hello, how are you? I played with Lyle Blackwood, Glenn's brother, with the Broncos. Tremendous person. Here's what the wind at your back will do for you.
Jim Arnold, the All-American rookie punter from Vanderbilt, booms one inside the 10. Mark Clayton runs it back. And Miami will go on offense for a second time. There's a yellow marker down the field that isn't official. There's also some yellow cups that have blown down in the wind. Looks like markers. This field really has gotten a workout over the weekend. Last night, Miami beat Notre Dame 20-0. And today, the Chiefs and the Dolphins locking up.
When I do a job, I do it like a pro with my Home Light 330. Kickback is eliminated thanks to the advanced Breaker 3 chain and safety tip device. And vibration isolation helps tame its big 3.3 cubic inch engine.
The Home Light 330. It's not only nice to have around the house, it's the only way to build one.
Nobody does a job around the home or farm like Home Light Jacobson. Now get a free pair of Wolverine boots with selected models. See your Home Light dealer for details.
When Apple invented the personal computer, we were all alone in the world. But soon it seemed that everybody was trying to build a better Apple. Well, somebody finally did. Lisa from Apple. So advanced it puts us right back where we started. Alone again. Soon there'll be just 2 kinds of people. Those who use computers and those who use apples.
NFL 83 is coming at you with a special doubleheader. The LA Raiders take on the Super Bowl champion Washington Redskins, or the explosive San Diego Chargers battle the New York Giants, plus hard-hitting regional action on NBC.
Don Quickie with Jim Turner back at the Orange Bowl, where the Dolphins have the ball for the second time here in the third quarter. Miami leading 7-6 as the Dolphins led at the half. Miami's offensive front with Dwight Stevenson at center, Bob Kuchenberg and Ed Newman the guards, 2 very good ones, Eric Laxo and John Giesler the tackles. David Woodley throws on first down to Tony Nathan, who gets across the 20 and out to the 22-yard line. A gain of about 7 yards on the play. Inside linebacker Jerry Blanton, number 57, Kansas City's leading tackler, made the stop.
Surprising play call there. Don backed up on the 15-yard line, throwing it over the middle into possible coverage. Take a good look at a youngster who's had a lot of problems in his career. Mike Bell, talking about martial arts. There it is. Hand in the face, push into the neck. I'll tell you, those guys, whatever they earn, it's not enough on the defensive line and the offensive line.
Down in the pit, it gets tough, and it's been that way all afternoon as Tony Nathan again is called on to run the ball with that good ability to accelerate into the open hole. Tony Nathan takes the ball across the 25-yard line out to the 27. First down, Miami. Mike Bell, an outstanding young player whose number we haven't called much today, was on the tackle.
Played for a friend of mine at Colorado State up at Fort Collins. Sarkar Solanian, a fanatical weightlifter, always injured. Changed his program this year on the advice of the Olympic training people down at Colorado Springs. He's doing more stretching, more aerobics. He hasn't been injured.
Who's that, Sark or Bell?
No, Mike Bell.
Sark he's a good talker though, isn't he?
Sark's a good man.
Handoff on the carry. The Dolphins take the ball across the 30. Big Woody Bennett. And they put him in there with Andre Franklin. They call it the elephant backfield. Art Still, a rangy defensive end from Kentucky, number 67. Not very heavy, though.
Don, that's a good example of having a fine offensive program that Don Shula's putting out there right now in the second half. He knows that Still and Bell always take that pass rush. They leave Kramer to hold up the run, and you can control a nose tackle with two guards in the center. They're just going to take it right at Kramer for a while. Bell and Still seem to always want to pass rush, leave the run obligation to the nose tackle.
Woodley now with second down and 4 does indeed go back to the run. There's not much there for Tony Nathan, but he spins for a couple. It'll be third down and less than 2. Art Still at 6'7", 245, fought off the blocker, made the tackle. Don Shula, a man who describes his approach to the game as a guy who rolls up his sleeves and goes to work, looking for the winning edge. He's found it a lot. The winningest coach in football right now with over 200 victories, over 70% wins.
Told us that he really felt the missing ingredient with the Kansas City Chiefs was the tragic loss of Joe Delaney, and we seem to idolize athletes, but we certainly found out what kind of a man Joe Delaney was this year. Tragic loss.
Terrific football player and young man, and Joe Delaney's leadership and running ability, catching ability certainly has been a major deterrent to this Kansas City offense trying to get rolling, although they passed the ball well in their first 3 games. I thought, talking to some of the Chiefs, they said the real thing about Delaney, you never realized he just seemed like a nice guy and a tremendous football player, but when he was gone, you realized what he meant to all of us and how much a part and a force he was in our team.
And we noticed the patch on their jerseys is a replica of the medal. Right there we see the patch on the jersey, on Green's jersey, presented by Vice President Bush to Joe Delaney's wife.
President's Medal for Heroism. First down and 10 now for Miami. Dolphins are leading 7-6. Woodley, timing pattern, throws, and the catch is made by Duriel Harris on a slant in. Harris, a good-looking wide receiver with great athletic ability to dive at the ball as he did there. A 14-yard gain, and the Dolphins get a first down.
Well, it's in a nice pattern, too. They put their tight end, number 84, Bruce Hardy, in motion. He clears the linebacker out for Duriel Harris to take the quick post pattern inside. It's wide open underneath. First time they've tried it today. See, he's able to see him in motion. Nice quick fake handoff. The tight end takes the linebacker out, and they throw underneath to the wide receiver.
That brings the Dolphins across midfield. They have the ball at the 47-yard line of Kansas City. Miami leading by just a point. Option pass. Nathan throws. Hardy catches the ball. He dives down to the 30. The Dolphins looking to get into the end zone, go into their bag of tricks, and successful plays bring them all the way down to the 30-yard line.
That's his second semi-trick play of the game. He had a shuffle pass earlier. As I told you, Don Shula will try every play in the book. Well-conceived pitch, halfback pass, throwing it over. Lloyd Burris, I told you they were going to catch him today. He's playing so aggressively. When that safety leaves an open area, your tight end will be open.
On the blitz, the quarterbacks look for what they call the hot zone. That's the area the blitzer came from. Something has to be open, and that's the first place they look to throw.
Well, Burris covers the tight end, and he was in the backfield on the blitz. Tight end was wide open.
David Woodley hands off on the run. Woody Bennett turns upfield and gets down inside the 25-yard line. A gain of about 5 yards on the play. So Miami working the clock and running the ball very well. Gets it down with 5:40 to play in the third quarter. Eric Laxo made the big block that got Woody Bennett 5 yards downfield.
Blessed with tremendous size, but it seems like Woody Bennett's always injured. Don Shula still waiting for him to put in a full injury-free season. Notice we haven't seen David Overstreet today.
And we have not. That's right.
And Don Shula had a nice talk with him before the game. He's waiting for David to break out and prove to him that he is the back he's been looking for with speed for a long time.
They feel that Overstreet could be the breakaway runner. He was Miami's #1 draft choice a couple of years ago, but elected to go to Canada. Big blitz, but Bell can't get there. Free ball, almost intercepted. Mike Bell coming hard from the right defensive end position, pressuring Woodley, and then the throw was very nearly intercepted as Burris was over along with Lucius Smith.
Burris is having one of those days, able to release off the tight end, really put a blow on Woody Bennett. Safeties love this when the receiver's up in the air, so they can just tell him, how are you? Next time you come in the area, I'll hit you twice as hard.
Well, Burris, 34 right there, is a real cannon. He comes in like a bazooka.
Well, they're playing that Bud Carson type defense. They're gambling a lot, as we've seen Burris come in on the blitz and leaving players open, but they feel they've got to make things happen on defense.
See David Woodley's numbers. He's not thrown deep. He's thrown a couple of very nice balls, though, including that one on 3 plays ago to Duriel Harris. Now he guns it down and throws a perfect strike to Joe Rose. A sure-handed tight end from Cal at Berkeley, and the Dolphins are down to the 16-yard line.
Kansas City in their nickel defensive backfield, leaving the tight end on the youngster out of Grambling, number 29, Albert Lewis. There's a lot of hand fighting going in there. Everything's legal. Nice throw by Woodley, making sure that the ball's in the chest of the tight end.
Score in Jim St. Louis Cardinals, the next opponent for the Chiefs. They'll play next Sunday at Arrowhead, the Chiefs and the Cardinals. St. Louis leading Philadelphia 7-5. The unlikely Eagles score on a field goal and a safety. Tony Nathan and Woody Bennett, the running backs now for the Miami Dolphins on 1st and 10. Pitch back Bennett. He's got it all the way down to the 6-yard line as the Miami blockers are starting to dominate Kansas City. Certainly in this drive they have. Loxo again leads the way, looping all the way around to blast out a linebacker. Loxo coming from right tackle across the field.
Well, it's a terrific cutback by Woody Bennett off a nice tackle. Nice trap block by his left tackle, number 79. Able to cut it back, turn upfield. When you turn everything back upfield as a big fullback, like Zonka did, you catch the linebackers as a safety going against the grain. It's tough for them to tackle you.
Woody Bennett did indeed come off and cut back to get the ball down, and now it's going to be 2nd down and 1. Dolphins on a power run by Tony Nathan. Slant inside the 5-yard line and down to the 3. It is 1st and goal Miami with 3:20 to play in the 3rd quarter and the clock running, and the Dolphins leading as they did at the half 7-6. Tony Nathan might have a cramp. It's warm out. Humidity not nearly as bad as it was the last few days when it rained heavily here in Miami.
Went into that goal line short yardage offense. Roy Foster, last year's #1 from USC, in the game. He had to report because he's playing an in position with a lineman's number 61. They're just going to try to grind it out in between the center 2 guards and tackles.
They put Foster at the left side, 61 at the top of your screen. He's a blocker now. They might go that way on a power run. They do indeed. Woody Bennett crashes down to the 1-yard line.
They must like Foster's blocking on the goal line. That's the 2nd time they've gone right behind Roy Foster, number 61.
Now to NFL 83 in New York.
All right, in Pittsburgh, the Patriots stage a long drive. Tony Collins punches it over, then sets a record for high fives on the sidelines. Surprisingly, it's 21-13 Patriots. Don?
Glenn, we haven't had many high fives here in the Orange Bowl at Miami. Only 1 touchdown in the game and 2 field goals for KC. It's a 7-6 game. Miami looking for a second score. Man wide open. Touchdown Dolphins. Dan Johnson, tight end from Iowa State, puts the Dolphins on the board and extends their lead now to 13-6.
Don, that's one of the oldest plays in the playbook in the NFL. It's the old tight end sneak. Dan Johnson comes up on the line of scrimmage, pretends like he gets a bad block, falls on his knees, the quarterback rolls away, then he sneaks out to the backside. Shula is pulling it all out today to put it on the Chiefs.
Well, what Miami really wants, they'd like to see Kenny start throwing the ball 30 and 40 times. That defense would love to see some of that, but Kansas City in the first half ran the ball very well. 1:56 to play in the third quarter. Miami now looking for a 14th point. Strock holds. Von Schoen rips it up and through. And so the Dolphins, who trailed much of the first half 6-0, have now opened up a 14-6 lead late in the third quarter. Here's the TD again. Woodley rolls out. Goes back the other way. Tight end Dan Johnson's all by himself for the score.
Four years ago, this American sports car existed only on a drawing board. We knew then the competition was good. We had to be good. Now Chrysler's new Laser XE challenges the gold standard Porsche 944. Laser, fuel-injected, turbocharged, stays close in high-speed cornering. In acceleration, Porsche leads. Laser, front-wheel drive, nitrogen-filled shocks, beats Porsche in the slalom. Laser matches Porsche in braking. But Laser XE keeps you in command with advanced electronic instrumentation. Porsche doesn't. Laser, even when you add rich Mark Cross leathers, is still thousands less than Porsche. And Laser protects your investment with a 5-year, 50,000-mile protection plan. Porsche doesn't. Chrysler's new Laser XE, because we knew the competition was good.
We interrupt this broadcast for a special report. Here from New York is NBC News correspondent Chris Wallace.
President Reagan has just announced that there is agreement on a new ceasefire in Lebanon. Mr. Reagan said he called Lebanese President Jamal to congratulate him. Meanwhile, the government of Lebanon confirms this, saying that Syria has agreed to a ceasefire to be announced at 3:30 Eastern Time this afternoon. The ceasefire would end fighting between government and Muslim forces, in which 4 U.S. Marines have been killed in recent weeks. And it would also allow negotiations on formation of a new coalition government in Lebanon. So, to repeat, President Reagan says there is now agreement on a new ceasefire in Lebanon. We'll have the latest developments on the Lebanese ceasefire tonight on NBC Nightly News. I'm Chris Wallace, NBC News, New York.
Back at the Orange Bowl, the Dolphin helmets wear number 50 in memory of a very fine young man and football player, Larry Gordon, who tragically passed away last June. A longtime veteran of the Dolphins is Bob Kuechenberg. He's been in all 4 Super Bowls for Miami.
The only Miami player left from all the Dolphins Super Bowls. He looks like the old man in the sea. Still a very, very effective football player. Made All-Pro last year.
Cincinnati now leading Tampa Bay 20-10 in the third quarter. Kuechenberg's been something for a long time. Out in the flat, the ball is thrown, and now Kansas City gets the big play they've needed for a long time. They've not had one since well into the second quarter. Jackson coming out of the backfield is knocked down by Bob Baumhauer with 1:30 to play in the third quarter. The Miami defense, the Killer Bees as they're known because so many of their players have names that start with B's. The whole defensive front, Betters, Baumhauer, and Bocamper. The safeties, Blackwood and Blackwood. Bowser, one of the starting linebackers, and Brodzinski, another. The Miami defense has been characterized as relentless, non-stop pursuit of the man with the ball. They really cover for each other. Nobody's left out there alone. A team defense at its best on a first down carry. The Chiefs go back to the run, and Jarrell Thomas gets ahead, but not for much. Charles Bowser knocked him down.
And I got such a kick out of reading the story this week about Bill Arnsparger. They call him Mr. Bill, the head beekeeper.
Is that right?
The head beekeeper.
Arnsparger is titled as assistant head coach here in Miami. A lofty title and well-deserved because there's not a better defensive tactician in the game than Arnsparger.
And Joe Collier from the Broncos.
Maybe not as good as Arnsparger.
A lot of argument either way.
Bill Penny has a problem. He throws, and Willie Scott can't hang on. Kansas City almost had a huge gainer. A.J. Duhay was coming on the blitz, and Kenny read it and got it off, but a little bit low to his tight end, Willie Scott.
Well, you see the value of having a guy like A.J. Dewey on the team and trying a little reverse action. The tight end was wide open. Dewey right in the face of the quarterback. Had he been able to catch it, Scott, that is, they had an awful lot of real estate.
we have 6 defensive backs in as Kozlowski and Langford are in the ball game for Miami. 3rd down and 7. Good throw, but he lost the ball. And a penalty marker is down in the Miami secondary, Jim. 10 seconds to play in the 3rd quarter.
5 backs, they call it the nickel defensive backfield. When you go into the 6th, it's called by coaches and everyone the dime backfield. Against the Kansas City Chiefs. They can't afford this with just 10 seconds left in the 3rd quarter.
Offensive pass interference, number 81, penalty refused, 4th down.
One good thing did come of this. Before they change sides against the wind, their punter will be able to hit the ball with the wind.
Then it gets awful tough. The Chiefs will be going uphill in the 4th quarter because they'll be going into the teeth of that 30-mile-an-hour wind. Blowing off the nearby Atlantic. A booming punt by Jim Arnold all the way downfield. Mark Clayton, another rookie, takes it at the 10. To the 20. And a penalty marker down. It's going to be a personal foul for face mask. So the Dolphins from their 20 will get additional yardage marked off against Kansas City. A 59-yard punt with the wind behind Arnold. An 11-yard return, and now the penalty marker. Shula's calling for a 15-yard deliberate face mask.
Call this one flagrant.
The penalty can be 5 yards, it can be 10, or it can be 15, a face mask call, depending on what the officials judge the severity and the intent.
This is one of the rules changes that I think that players really appreciate.
A 5-yard face mask penalty on the run back, on the defense, will change quarters.
Good shot of why they put this rule in. Grab the man, you can snap his neck with that. A lot of times your hands will get caught in a face mask, but that's a tremendous rule. Every player in the NFL appreciates that one.
And that is the end of the 3rd quarter. The Miami Dolphins holding to a 14-6 lead. We'll be back right after this.
Tuesday, Mr. T's cooking. After the A-Team dishes out a main course of heavy metal, what's for dessert?
I'll come back and feed you your socks.
Then Laura tempts Steel by moving in with Remington Steel. But where will she sleep?
In my bed.
On the couch.
Pajamas optional.
Tuesday.
Be there.
This roomy, inexpensive Subaru station wagon not only goes far on a gallon of gas, it also goes almost anywhere on a gallon of gas, thanks to front-wheel drive. But if you want more traction than our wagon with front-wheel drive, we suggest our wagon with on-demand four-wheel drive.
$17 hours. That's how long it took us to paint this house with the brush. Then we painted it in just 6.5 hours with the Wagner Power Painter. This wicker chair took over an hour, but less than 5 minutes with a Wagner Power Painter. A shutter that took 20 minutes, a Power Painter finished in only 3. It's a tool so versatile, it has a flexible spray tip and a way to draw paint right from a can. A Wagner Power Painter. It's the right tool for painting.
Be there for Star Search, Sunday night at 6, only on TV4.
Full in Miami, a clear and sunny day as the wind blows in, and the Miami Dolphins lead Kansas City as we start the 4th quarter 14-6. Today's game is brought to you by Chrysler Plymouth, quality products from the new Chrysler technology. By the U.S. Army, a place to be all you can be. And by the twin-action Norelco Rotatrack Razor. Don Criqui with Jim Turner at the Orange Bowl. Dolphins start the 4th quarter from scrimmage. First down and 10 at their 27-yard line. David Woodley has gone all the way at quarterback, takes a look and gets away from Art Still. Finally, he's sacked, and I believe that's the first sack of the day for the Kansas City defense. Dino Mangiero is coming up the middle, 74.
Terrific coverage by the Kansas City Chiefs linebackers and defensive backs. Nothing for Woodley to throw the ball downfield for.
New England's been tough the last couple of weeks, leading Pittsburgh. New Orleans has now rallied back to tie up the Cowboys at Irving, Texas. 13-all in the third quarter. Miami's next opponent is the Saints down in New Orleans. St. Louis and Philadelphia with that unusual score, 7-5. Cardinals heading into Arrowhead in Kansas City next Sunday to play the Chiefs. 14:27 to play in the game. Early in the fourth quarter, Woodley takes a look, a home run ball. Intercepted by Duron Sherry. And so a sixth Miami turnover, and the Kansas City Chiefs get the ball back. Nat Moore was running the long pad, and he's slow getting up as Duron Sherry goes high into the air and comes down with the football. So 6 turnovers now in this game for the Miami Dolphins and 4 for Kansas City. Todd Blackledge warming up on the sideline.
Laying the ball up just a little too easy. Trying to work on the young corner, Lucius Smith, but Duron Cherry playing in place of Gary Barbaro, playing center field, taking the interception.
It's easy to forget Valvoline was the first to show you how to save money by changing your own oil. And it's easy to forget Valvoline was the first to put 12 quarts in a handy carry-out case. And it's easy to forget Valvoline is the choice of leading race drivers the world over. Yep, it's easy to forget all this about Valvoline, as long as you remember Valvoline is everything you need in a motor oil.
Beatico Creek, Louisiana, and Milwaukee both mean something great to these guys. Beatico Creek means bass, fat and tasty, and Milwaukee means beer, cold, crisp, Old Milwaukee beer, and the smooth golden light taste of Old Milwaukee Light.
Old Milwaukee.
And Old Milwaukee Light
Tastes as great as their name.
Let me tell you, it doesn't get any better than this.
Todd Blackledge, the #1 draft choice of the Kansas City Chiefs, on the sideline, still waiting for his chance. He's going to get a long one someday.
He's their quarterback of the future. You don't put that much money and draft a kid that high and expect him not to play. But tremendous leader.
Has the whole package: intelligence, the great arm, size. He weighs 220. And he comes out of the excellent program at Penn State. First down and 10 now for the Chiefs, who trail 14-6. They're going into the wind. They go to the run. Jarrell Thomas doesn't get much this time. Kansas City comes out running on that down as Kim Bokamper stuffs the run. The knee injury, you're talking about the problem that so many of the good players have. 2 key Dolphins out. Maybe the all-time leader, Jim, in knee injuries was the great, and I don't use the word loosely, E.J. Holub of Kansas City fame.
Oh, he was.
16 knee operations. Somebody looked at his knees one day and said he looked like he got in a knife fight with a midget.
Don't bring any of those back.
16 knee operations. The beast would hit somebody. Bill Kenny pauses, and as the old axiom goes, he who hesitates. And he was lost there as the Dolphins dug better, swept him under.
Kansas City trying to spread it out. They haven't been able to get to Carlos Carson going into the game. The league's leading passer. There's the man who puts it all together.
Mr. B.
Mr. B. Mr. Bill. He's the head beekeeper. Bill Arnsparger, assistant head coach of the Miami Dolphins. One of the finest gentlemen you'd ever want to sit down and talk football with.
I'd say to meet him, you'd never think he was a great football coach until you see the record.
That's true.
Very quiet, self-effacing man and a football genius. 3rd and 14. Kenny throws it down, and Carlos Carson, who's been quiet, they've shut off the best receiver in the NFL coming into this game. Carson led the league with 17 receptions through the first 3 games, gets a 19-yard gainer, and now the Chiefs start him out a challenge. A tough throw by Kenny into a strong win.
And Kenny must have a strong arm, because number 51, Mark Brown, blitzed right in his face. I'm not too sure if he didn't get part of the ball. Looking right on him, going into the wind, you see how the wind's affecting the ball. Really, really nice play. It's time that they open it up. We are in the fourth quarter. They are behind 14-6.
Chiefs have to get into the end zone. They'd need 3 field goals to go ahead in this game. And they're going into the win the rest of the way. We have 12 minutes and 10 seconds left to play in the game.
I think even Nick Lowry would like to see a touchdown scored.
Terrell Thomas runs up the gut, takes it down to the 35-yard line as the yards come tough. Dedders, a 265-pound defensive end, and Baumhauer, a 270-pound middle guard, both with direct head-on hits.
You rely on that kicker so much that your offensive team will feel they can only go to the 30-yard line or 20-yard line to stop, and they'll accept 3. 3 doesn't do it all the time. You've got to get some 7s in there. That's something Kansas City has not been able to do.
Henry Marshall now comes into the game as a third wide receiver. Mike Kozlowski is countering him. He comes in off the Miami bench as an extra defensive back. Matched up. Second down and 8. Kenny sprinting out. Has a problem. And the Dolphins get him at the 39-yard line. That'll bring up third in long yardage. Third and about 11 or 12. A.J. Dewey was the man who was through to get him.
Bringing back old memories for Bill Kinney and the Kansas City Chiefs, giving up 40 sacks last year, the most in the league. Take a good look at what a good defensive player like A.J. Dewey will do to you. Everybody's covered. Watch how he's fighting, and he's keeping his eye on the quarterback. He knows his defensive mates can cover the pass. Look at the struggle in there. Now comes up with the sack. That's all pro right there, Don.
He's a great one, A.J. Dewey. Cajun from Louisiana. Here's a Kenny throw. Going for the ball is Beckman, and it's out of bounds. Photographer got that one. And again, A.J. Dewey, who's coming like a freight train, was in there to hammer Kenny just as he released the ball. Minnesota leading Detroit 17-10. Philadelphia's now gone in front of St. Louis 11-7.
Another look at how he's able to come in and still harass the quarterback. Important point to make here, Don. Going against the wind, this young punter, Coach Makovic, likes to stress directional punting. Don't give it up and just gain 18 yards. Put it out of bounds inside the 20 if you can.
Again, the wind catches the ball. You see it hop back the other way. And so with 10 minutes and 30 seconds left to play in the game, Jim Arnold hits it out of bounds, and Miami will take over the football. With the Dolphins in the lead, 14-6. They led at halftime, 7-6.
Prepare yourself for the new world of Chrysler technology, where an electronic cockpit helps keep you secure, where you sit in the lap of luxury. The 1984 front-wheel drive New Yorker, Chrysler's most technologically advanced luxury car. Here is available turbo power, the new way to achieve extra performance, impressive mileage, a quiet, luxurious ride, and Chrysler's 5-year, 50,000-mile protection plan, the new Chrysler New Yorker.
If you run a small business, profits can get squeezed when inventory doesn't match up with production. What you need is a tool for modern times, the IBM personal computer. Not only can it help you plan ahead, it'll balance your books and give you more time to make dough. And the cost? That's the icing on the cake. Your own IBM personal computer. Try it at a store near you.
Neil Diamond, live and in person. Dolly Parton, live and in person. Over 50 great stars doing what they do best, live and in person, starting Tuesday.
Something Jim Arnold's going to have to learn. He being a rookie, I'm not expecting him to know this, but when you kick against the wind, trying to put it out of bounds, hold the ball a little longer and make sure that you help your defensive mates. Don't let the wind blow it out. In my 16 years in the NFL, Don, I never had a coach teach me technical fundamental kicking, and I think that's the one thing that's lacking in the entire NFL.
Got to have the coaching in every fine dimension of
every phase of it.
On first First down, the Dolphins go to the run with an 8-point lead. They want to run that game clock. They have the wind at their back, but they take the power route. Nathan back in the game, all right, knocked down by Art Still. Art lost his hat in the play.
And to carry through with that thought, Don, the Kansas City Chiefs have an inside linebacker coach, an outside linebacker coach, a pass protection coach. Their passing coach, of course, is John Makovic. It's become so specialized. Don't neglect one of the main phases of the game. I say main because I was a kicker, but it is sometimes up to 30% of the game. The fundamental technique of kicking and punting.
Kicking football, a lot of foot in there, and the winners have the great kicking game, the outstanding quarterback, and the good defense. Those are the prerequisites for going the distance. On the run, Woody Bennett takes some hard hits, and there's a free ball. Chiefs think they have it. Let's see what the call is.
They do. He took it right out of his hands before he hit the ball. Kansas City Chiefs will be given the ball.
That's Lucius Smith, the fourth-year cornerback from Cal State at Fullerton.
This is one of those rare plays, Don, where you're
the ball back.
Yes, Don, it's one of the rare plays that you see where the cornerback or linebacker is able to take the ball out of his hands before he hits the ground. It's a good call by the officials.
You have to admire the consistent aggressiveness of this underdog Kansas City team. They're not backing off, and now they've taken the ball away from Miami 7 times in this game. 7 Dolphin turnovers.
And that's exactly what Coach Makovic is teaching. We may not win, but they're going to know who they've been playing.
Tough call. He might have been stopped.
Fall's here. Can winter be far behind? Better hurry to your participating Napa store now during Napa Fall Car Care Days. You'll find fantastic values to help prepare your car for winter. Or head to your participating garage or service station and take advantage of these Napa Fall Car Care Day specials. A little preventive maintenance will keep your car running smooth. When the name is Napa, the standard is quality.
This bartender's next big league pitcher and loves to serve fire-brewed Strohs. See what I mean? That was his fastball. That was the curve. Look out. Wild pitch.
What was that?
Relief pitcher.
From one beer lover to another Strohs.
A replay look now at the Dolphins' 7th turnover this game. Very questionable, Jim Turner.
Yes, if you go by the point of forward motion being stopped, the official made a bad call. But number 54, the line judge standing right there, makes the call, decides to go with it and give it to the Kansas City Chiefs, Lucius Allen.
Now the Chiefs have it 1st and 10. Jackson runs, and the Dolphins stop him cold. Big defensive play by Charles Bowser, the right side linebacker. Second-year player from Duke.
Don, we've seen 3 different or unique plays by the Miami offense. I think it's time for Coach Makovic to try a flea flicker or an end-around, halfback pass, whatever. You know Henry Marshall, coming on the reverse, can throw the football as well as anybody in the league.
That's right. San Diego knows that. Minnesota leading Detroit 17-10. Vikings had a big early lead. Now the Lions starting to come back. Major upset could be in the offing at Pittsburgh, where the Steelers trail New England. Kenny stands in, eludes Stewey, but then Bob Baumhauer and Doug Betters close in, and Doug Betters, 75, was the man who made the knockdown. As they're up and cheering the Killer Bee defense of Miami.
Well, Miami went into the nickel defense. They've got Dewey standing on the line of scrimmage, doing his freelancing. Everybody thinks it's freelancing. It's not. He knows exactly what Arnsberger wants him to do. He blitzed. He's in the face of the quarterback. Terrific coverage. Quarterback really can't throw the ball up for grabs like that. The defensive corners are doing a real good job for the Dolphins today.
They really are, and they're taking those wide receivers right up close to the line of scrimmage. They've pretty much taken Carson out of the game. Carlos Carson with just 1 big reception. Kenny takes a look. Throws, it's knocked back. Bocamper coming over the middle, and A.J. Duhay coming over the middle. And again, they're up and celebrating the Miami Dolphin defense. Through the many years, the Shula teams have been keyed by great defensive play. And after a slow start today and an effort marred by no less than 7 turnovers, The Dolphin white shirts respond on defense with one great play after another. And now Kansas City is forced to punt the ball with 8 minutes and 13 seconds left to play. Jim Arnold hits it into the wind. A fair catch is signaled for and made at the 11-yard line by Glenn Blackwood. And the Dolphins get back the ball, and again, the defense of the Dolphins accorded a standing ovation as they come off the field. We'll be back at the Orange Bowl right after this.
Imports with a purpose. Colt for $84. A great buy for the money. Imported for Dodge and Plymouth. Colt gives you front-wheel drive. Room for 5. Money-saving mileage. And miles of just plain driving fun. So if you're thinking GLC, Civic, Sentra, or Tercel, think Colt too. And check out its really low sticker price. The 84 Colt, imported for Dodge and Plymouth. Built by Mitsubishi to give you a phenomenal import value.
Now that's a purpose.
Mission complete. We're heading back. Over.
In today's Army, infantrymen like Sergeant Dennis Sirianni are armed with technology.
With the thermal sight, I can turn night into day and guide my unit home. Roger, Bravo 2-4. We have you in sight.
All that you can be, you can do it in the Army.
Welcome home, guys.
Don't miss the very best in baseball. The pennant races are hot, and you'll be there for the key games, the crucial matchups. Find out if they're contenders or pretenders. Only on NBC Sports.
A big defensive play by Miami, and here it is again.
Don, the great quarterbacks are able to sense this. You might not be able to see a Kimbo Camper, but you've got to, as a quarterback, be able to sense the man is right in your line of fire. Bo Camper, football player who wants to turn pro wrestler, knocks it down for a big tip. That's a second big tip on Kenny today.
Ron Kershaw, our producer for NBC, Bob Levy, our director. A good look at a big play by Miami as the Dolphins get back the ball, leading 14-6 with 7 minutes and 55 seconds left to play. James Walker comes up to play the run along with Jerry Blanton as Woody Green getting a lot of work. Shula, knowing the attrition, the heat and humidity of South Florida, can take on a football player using a lot of runners today. Next Saturday, start the day with Major League Baseball and Inside Look as we continue to follow the pennant races. Then it's the baseball game of the week as the pennant races come to a close. NBC will be there for the key games. That's next Saturday right here on NBC Sports. Don Criqui with Jim Turner at the Orange Bowl in Miami. The Dolphins with problems turning the ball over, yet they hold a lead 14-6 in the fourth quarter. Now they go to the run and back to big Woody Bennett, a runner who played right here in Miami at the University of Miami. And Bennett runs the ball ahead on a 2nd and 4 play, very close to a first down. They're going to measure. Possession offense. So the yard markers come out. The Shula Dolphins, team under fire this week from their head coach and the assistant coaches after the showing last Monday night against the Raiders at Los Angeles. Shula said yesterday, Jim, he said, I had to start to back off at the end of the week. I was working them pretty hard. I wanted to be sure they had something left for today.
Well, I'll tell you something. He's going to work them hard again. A new record. 5 fumbles lost by the Miami Dolphins. I do like what I'm seeing from the Kansas City Chiefs. They're behind,
Spirit.
but you can see the spirit, the attitude. If you put Barbaro back in, Gary Spaney back in, and let them learn their running game or their passing game a little bit better, I think you can really see that there's some good things going to be coming down the road for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Tony Nathan and Woody Bennett are the 2 setbacks, and now on a 3rd and short yardage, David Woodley, who's been moving the ball over the top a few times, gets a first down.
And I find it very strange, David Woodley, when he does, this is his 3rd quarterback sneak for the first down. He fumbled the first one, dives straight up in the air. You'll get a linebacker like a Bob Swenson from Denver or Randy Gradishar. They meet you head up like that. You might not quarterback the rest of the year. I think he's asking for some problems. Instead of driving low behind his lineman, he's diving up, leaving himself exposed to a safety or a linebacker.
And those shoulders will separate when you go.
Oh, yes, they will. That's something Coach Shula will pick up here as a trend, that his quarterback will dive up in the air on a quarterback sneak, and you'll end up out of the game for a while.
The linebackers, the search and destroy men, the trained hitters. Woodley's taking some hard pops, but he's still in there rolling on a first down carry. The Dolphins go right back to big Woody Bennett and Tony Nathan with him.
Running the clock, Don. They're controlled football right now.
Anderson has just hit another field goal, the South African place kicker from Syracuse for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they now trail New England 21-16. Here at the Orange Bowl, Duriel Harris comes in with a suggestion for David Woodley. Woodley's calling his own plays now for the most part. 5 minutes and 41 seconds left to play in the game. Miami leads the ball game by a score of 14-6. Chiefs working hard to get it back again. They forced 7 Miami turnovers. And those kind of sticks will cost some more as Blanton and Still hit Woody Bennett hard, but Bennett gets ahead for a little yardage to bring up 3rd down.
And that running back knows that they fumbled 5 times. To see him come up into the line with both arms hovered over the ball, not going to cough up another one.
Now Makovic, actually through his defensive coordinator Bud Carson, sends in defensive changes on the long yardage down for Miami. 3rd down and 6 for the Dolphins. 2 wide receivers go to the right, 1 out to the left. Backs to either side in the shotgun formation as Woodley takes the snap. Hands off, and Tony Nathan runs ahead for a 1st down. You talked about Don Shula going to a lot of interesting plays. That was a daring move and a successful one again for the Dolphins.
I've only seen 2 teams have success with a run play off the shotgun, and it's this very play, the underneath handoff. Dallas Cowboys do it very well. The Miami Dolphins have installed it into their offense. That is another play that's out of the ordinary for Don Shula to put into a game plan.
Shula and the Dolphins have been in a tough football game all day, and Kansas City's not backing off one bit. There's that New England score. The upset still in the offing at Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh. And New Orleans rallying from a big deficit to tie Dallas. Another handoff right back to the run. Again, the swarming red shirts of Kansas City knocked down the ball carrier for a short game. It's going to be 2nd down and 9. The game clock, though, becoming very much a factor. We're under 4 minutes to play. Unlikely score. Philadelphia leading now. That's incorrect. Buffalo has gone in front of Houston 16-13 on a 46-yard Joe Danello field goal. Late in the 3rd quarter, Buffalo leads Houston 16-13. 3 minutes and 35 seconds left to go. 2nd down and 8 coming up. Long ball downfield, and Duriel Harris is overthrown, and he's also well defended against by Lucius Smith, who's been a target area for the Miami passing game because he's young and not normally a starter. But Lucius Smith has played well.
New rules this year allowing incidental contact between the corner or the coverage man and the receiver this year, and there was some contact on that one. Officials right on it, but mainly a poorly thrown football got away from him on there.
Now the Dolphins have 3rd down coming up. 3rd down and 8 as the gusting winds sweep into the Orange Bowl, creating havoc with thrown and kicked footballs. Dolphins with the shotgun formation, 2 receivers left, Harris and Moore. 1 to the right, Mark Clayton. He's a rookie, penalty markers down. Woodley has a lot of open field. He has the 1st down and more as David Woodley's out to the 47-yard line. Needed to get to the 45. But we have a penalty marker down on the play, Jim.
Don, while they're discussing that, something I wanted to bring up. We talk about the high-priced football players and the $5 million contract Edgar Kaiser gave to John Elway. There's a man right there whose contract is up real soon, and he, to me, is a franchise. You talk about going out and getting a draft choice.
Defense lined up in the neutral zone. Penalty refused. First down.
Teams talk about building themselves with a draft choice, or franchises will say, well, who would you start with, a guard, a tackle, a running back, a quarterback? I say Don Shula. I'd like to see Don's contract situation be resolved. There's the coach right there. He's the man.
He's in the last year of a contract here at Miami, and apparently has not had a contract discussion since some weeks ago, and he had one very brief one then.
Well, doesn't that surprise you?
You don't want to let him get away, that's for sure.
That's right.
The Dolphins on 1st down go to the run, and Woody Bennett is the ball carrier with 3 minutes and 6 seconds left to play in the game. Miami trying to run the clock. The Chiefs not letting up in their tenacity and their fury on defense, fighting to get the ball back. They trail in the game, does Kansas City, 14-6.
As they were last week, the defense of the Chiefs are being worn down. Able to make the corner, Woody Bennett was, come around an old teammate of mine, number 51, Charles Jackson. And they've been out a long time on the field.
Early in the game, it was Kansas City dominating on offense, and the Killer Bees were playing a lot of defense for Miami, but in the second half, Miami's controlled the clock and the ball. Leading 14-6. Back to the run. Nathan looks for a hole. Not much there. Good linebacker play. Jerry Blanton, the leading tackler for the Chiefs, shot the gap, slowed up Nathan, but it is enough for a first down. So 4 new downs for the Dolphins, in no hurry as they go back into a huddle at their leisure. 2:48 and running left to play in the game.
Just running the clock out, keeping that defense on the field. Very consistent. They know that they don't absolutely need a touchdown on the board to pack this away. Chiefs would have to score a couple of times, so they're just running it out. Don Shula type of football. He is in control of the game.
You can harken back to one of the great games in football history when the Dolphins and the Chiefs locked up at Old Municipal Stadium in Kansas City that Christmas Day in 1971 in the playoff, but still the longest NFL game ever. On 1st and 10, it's Nathan running the ball to the 38-yard line. That was the playoff game when finally in a second overtime period, Miami went on to beat Kansas City, and that ironically was the last year the Chiefs have been in the playoffs.
And Don, it was on a missed field goal. My good friend Jan Stenerud, and they tell me Jan did not come out of his house for 2 or 3 months. He felt so badly about that.
Yeah, in regulation, he had a chance to put one through and end it. Right now, the game clock winds down to 2 minutes with the Dolphins in the lead, 14-6. And now here comes another one of those fantastic finishes.
Alcoa presents Fantastic Finishes, 1972. Denver's Floyd Little wants to beat the Vikings by himself. He glides and sidesteps, turns on the speed, overpowers, and simply runs away from Minnesota. He has put the Broncos on top 20-16. But watch out. With only 17 seconds left, the Vikings come back as Francis Tarkenton flies one 35 yards to Gene Washington. And Denver loses a game they had won.
Here begins a brand new life for America's favorite recyclable beverage container. The stackable, lightweight, quick chilling, unbreakable, all aluminum can. Aluminum preserves the flavor and protects the taste. Aluminum. Its recyclability assures many, many happy returns. It's America's favorite.
We can't wait for tomorrow.
Don Shula and the Dolphins in a tough game. It's been hard from the outset. Miami holding to a 14-6 lead. The Kansas City Chiefs with 7 Miami turnovers to their credit. But the Chiefs have turned the ball over 5 times, and that's been a big factor.
Well, it's been a big factor, and as we stated early on, Bill Kenny's got to learn to read the defenses a little bit better and not throw into coverage.
Right now, the Dolphins will be content to run the clock and the ball, and the yards again. Not easy against this Kansas City defense. It has very well-conditioned football team. They're staying right with the Dolphins in that respect. Miami always with a strong team, particularly late in the season when it's warm here in Florida and teams come in from the north where they practice in cooler weather.
Well, I think you can talk about Bud Carson defenses, Bud Carson coach defenses, that they bend and they don't break. Ironic that the Baltimore Colts have not hired a replacement for Bud Carson. He was their defensive coordinator last year. They've just allowed all the defensive coaches to utilize his same theories.
3rd down and 3 now for Miami. Nathan goes wide. Ed Newman pulls, and Nathan is cut down. A good defensive play by Art Still. As the game clock winds down, and the Kansas City Chiefs signal for and are allotted a timeout. And so with Miami in possession and holding the 14-6 lead, both teams get 90 seconds to talk this one over. We'll be back right after this.
Esther, you did send that Federal Express, didn't you?
Oh, yes, Mr. Bogus, you're covered.
Oh, Ed, you did send that Federal, didn't you?
Yes, Fred, we're covered. You sent that thing Federal, didn't you, Nick?
Yes, sir.
Good, I'm covered. I'm covered.
I'm covered.
Hey,
I'm covered.
Are you covered? I'm covered.
I'm covered. Are you covered?
I'm covered. Are you covered?
I think we're all covered.
I'm covered if he's covered.
Cover yourself with Federal Express. Why fool around with anyone else?
Here comes the most advanced piece of machinery in shaving history. The new Norelco Rotatract, the razor that challenges the world. Every blade, every electric, every shaving instrument ever made. In closeness, comfort, speed, and quality. It's the shaving machine you've been waiting for, or your money back. Advanced technology Rotatract razors. The first to challenge the world. New from Norelco.
Undefeated knockout artist John Collins battles tough Tony Simpson. Then powerful women attack the bar. And the Gold Cup Unlimited Hydroplane Race. Boxing, barbells, and boats. All on the season premiere of NBC's Sports World.
Back at the Orange Bowl in Miami, Florida, Don Criqui with Jim Turner. There's a lot of positives I think the Chiefs can look at in this game. They're an aggressive and well-conditioned football team.
Well coached, too. Coach Makovic has them doing the things he wants to do. They're going to come up short today. Been a new coach, new theories, a good defensive coordinator in Bud Carson. Another good draft, and I think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to play real well in that Western Division of the AFC.
Right now, the Dolphins go to a punt, and Roby hammers it into the end zone. He was not playing for any coffin corner.
No, I don't think he knows how to let up on the ball. A guy that big just punishes it. He does remind me a great deal of the great Gerald Wilson, who came out of the Kansas City Chiefs as one of the finest punters in history.
Well, I say he's got the biggest wheels in Miami since Larry Zonka. This man could be a tight end if they need be. We'll be back right after this.
Introducing the longest rust-through protection truck warranty in America. 5 years or 100,000 miles.
We are Dodge, and this is how we back our trucks.
Only Dodge offers this revolutionary factory warranty as standard on all 84 full-size pickups and Ram Chargers. And it's yours at no extra cost. At Dodge, we don't just say our trucks are tough, we prove it.
We are Dodge. Dodge trucks are Ram trucks. From the land of sky blue waters.
Whoa! After a hard day in the saddle, that's the best time to settle down with the frosty hams. From the land of sky blue waters, take it easy. Have a hams. Heads up!
Hams, the beer refreshing. Hams, the beer refreshing.
And enjoy Ham's Special Light, too.
Less than a minute to go here in Miami, where the Dolphins right now are in command of the game, but it's not been easy against a Kansas City team that came in, ran the ball as they've not run it at all this season, ran it very successfully in the first half and built up a 6-0 lead. The Chiefs, historically a first-half ball club from a scoreboard standpoint. They've led every game in the first half. But in the second half, they've not yet put up a point. Miami has a touchdown and he has to lead 14-6. Now Ken Thomas gets the ball, is hit by William Judson as the Chiefs, looking for room to go, see the game clock winding away on them.
Don, certainly Bill Kinney has not had a great day passing, but he'll learn from this. They'll be back with films tomorrow with Coach Makovic, seeing the mistakes he's made on not recognizing certain defenses.
A good throw, and Hancock breaks it all the way down to the 45-yard line of Miami. Anthony Hancock, the second-year sprinter from Tennessee. World class, a first-round draft choice a year ago. But Miami's superb defense has done a tremendous job taking Hancock and Carlos Carson out of the game. They've had very little receptions, only one for Carson for 17 yards. Hancock's now caught 2 for 37 yards. Kenny, throwing the ball in the game, has put it up 15 times. We completed 9 for 61 yards. Has had problems with interceptions. He's thrown 3.
And we just saw a pretty good picture of 2 young wide receivers that will make their mark in the NFL, in Carson and Hancock. They've got the older veteran, Henry Marshall, a good friend of mine, there to teach him how to read defenses. Last year's #1 draft choice, Anthony Hancock. Pleased to have Coach Makovic and his passing theories come on board with the Chiefs. Last year, they just didn't feel that the wide receivers were any part of their game at all.
Well, they will be under Makovic. Danny White, the quarterback at Dallas, said he's been the biggest influence on Danny White's career, the coaching of John Makovic. has not been a head coach at all. He's 39 years old. He'll be 40 next week. Had never been a head coach until 5 years ago. He spent 13 years as a college assistant and a high school assistant prior to that. Then got the head job at his alma mater, Wake Forest, and after a 1-10 season, turned out some very good football teams, and Dallas hired him as quarterback coach for 2 years. And now on to Kansas City, and one of the big jobs, a head coaching job in the NFL. He succeeded Marv Levy. Here's a throw downfield. Interception by Miami. One of the Bruce brothers, Glenn Blackwood, takes it. Heading back downfield. They're going to rule he was down back at the 23-yard line. The antenna receiver, Carlos Carson, took a hard shot. As Blackwood came up to intercept, and Carson is down.
And Don, that's the difference. When you're throwing into the prevent defense, they're going to give you something, but not outside and deep. He was going for the deep. Prevent only gives you the intermediate range. Blackwood just laying in the grass as safeties are supposed to do. Comes up on the ball like a center fielder and picks it off.
Carlos was stunned as Blackwood came up and intercepted, so it's good to see Carlos Carson, a tremendous young football player who ironically was David Woodley's favorite target for 4 years at LSU.
And you see what I was talking about, how safety on a prevent defense will play the deep zone. Nothing gets deeper than me. Comes up on a well-thrown football, but against the wrong type of defense.
Our thanks while we have a moment for help in the booth from spotters Bo McComas and Harry Von Suskill and statistician Bob Harris. As we're down to 15 seconds to play in the game, Kansas City's record will fall to 1-3, and every game they've been in has been right down to the wire. Perhaps last week's at Washington was a pull away for the Redskins late in the fourth quarter. But this is a team that's better than its record, and it's going to be, as you mentioned, Jim, heard from down the line with 12 weeks to go.
Well, in Kansas City and Seattle, the two toughest schedules in the NFL. And it's tough enough playing in the Western Division of the AFC with the Raiders, the Chiefs, the Broncos, the Seahawks, who are a very good opponent this year, and Kansas City.
Tough scheduling for the Chiefs. Back-to-back, they've gone against the last Super Bowl teams, and they've done it on the road at Washington last week, at Miami this. Dolphins now running out the clock in a very hard-fought victory. Miami's record will go to 3-1 as they head to New Orleans next week to play the Saints while the Chiefs return home.